The story kicks off in a totally different world, showing a village right in the middle of a massive plain. Right then, a goblin sneaks up, gripping a sharp blade. He walks past several knocked out goons on the way, proving the fight here has already been handled. Getting close to a cave, someone inside is heard telling a young girl to zip it before she loses her teeth. The goblin creeps up to the hideout's entrance, peeking at the drama inside. Taking in the vibe, he pauses for a second to check out the scene. With a master plan brewing, he looks super confident about what he is about to pull off. Inside, a young girl named Jeong Hyan is tied up and absolutely freaking out. One of the thugs checks her ID, dropping her name and her Seoul address with total awe. The other guys crack up, realizing their hostage lived in a seriously buggy neighborhood. The boss of the crew tries to chill things out, asking her to pay attention to what he is about to say. With a sarcastic tone, he says he gets how wild it is to be snatched from a normal life and dropped into a random world. He keeps trolling the girl, saying they are now in a place packed with elves, orcs, and magic, while his buddies laugh and compare him to a telemarketer. Flexing his authority, the criminal reveals they came from the same place, but they got here first and already set up shop. Stepping closer, he warns that Haeyeon will really need their help and asks if she wants to know why. Yanking the girl's partner by the hair, the boss threatens she will meet a tragic end, just like his if she does not play along. Facing that messed up sight, Haeyeon is completely swallowed by panic. Unable to handle the mental stress, she passes out right on the spot. The thug gets annoyed that she fainted, while his buddy argues that roughing her up a bit would fix it. But another goon jumps in, calling the guy a psycho and warning them not to mess up her face, since she is the first pretty girl they have found. He stresses that they need to be careful, exactly because she is the best looking newbie they have seen so far. Agreeing, the boss warns they need to wake the hostage up fast, since they cannot exactly drag her asleep all the way to the Hudiyat. Out of nowhere, a voice echoes from the back of the cave, grabbing everyone's attention by complaining that the scene is just too gross to watch. The bad guys get super confused and mad, demanding to know who started talking trash all of a sudden. Assuming it was his own big bone buddy, the boss yells at him, asking if he lost his mind. However, the big guy stays quiet, only taking the heavy impact of a sudden strike. His body drops to the floor completely out of the game, showing he got hit hard from behind. The other two go into full panic mode, totally clueless about what just went down. Right then, the goblin adjusts his weapon and notes that the criminals seem to be having a blast. The thugs stare at the monster, frozen in front of this new threat. Using a mocking tone, the goblin suggests they play a different game from now on. Spitting insults, the criminals get ready to brawl, but the intruder throws something super fast. The projectile hits the target right in a weak spot, leaving the other goons shocked by the crazy accuracy. Blinded by rage, the thug orders the little goblin to be taken out quickly. While Haeyeon starts waking up all dizzy, slowly opening her eyes, the girl is still super out of it because of her tears. Rushing the intruder, the bad guys attack like total Hothids. Keeping his cool, the goblin just grips his blade tight. One of the guys tries to land a hit, screaming with all his energy. Taking advantage of the dude's slow moves, the creature dodges the strike with zero effort. Giving him zero chance to block, the goblin counters with a ridiculously fast move. The payback strike hits the criminal with brutal perfection. Screaming in pain, the thug drops to his knees, completely out of commission. Already locking onto the next target, the goblin spawns behind the other goon, scaring the soul out of him. The last criminal freezes, mind blown by how easily his buddy got clapped. Watching everything while still tied up, Haeyeon barely understands what is happening in front of her. Going after the final enemy, the goblin trolls him, asking if playtime was already over. Driven by pure desperation, the bad guy swings his sword everywhere, telling the creature to back off. In total panic, he raises his weapon while screaming his lungs out. Pulling off a quick jump, the little intruder strikes from the top down. The impact is so heavy it knocks the wind right out of the criminal. Unable to stay on his feet, the guy gets thrown backward by the sheer power of the attack. He crashes awkwardly into the dirt, super close to where Haeyeon is tied up. The girl keeps breathing heavy, absolutely terrified by how intense the scene is. Crawling backward, the thug begs the monster not to come any closer. Trying to save his own skin, he attempts to play nice, offering food and trying to negotiate since the monster speaks human language. Ignoring the cheap talk, the goblin raises his weapon to finish the fight, while the guy begs to know what he wants. With zero chill, the intruder wraps up the battle for good. The criminal hits the ground, unable to cause any more trouble. Taking a seat on the enemy's body, the little fighter lets out a sigh of relief, mentioning how exhausting the brawl was. Right then, a detail in the room catches his eye. Shaking with fear, Hyen stays curled up in her ropes, waiting for the finale. The goblin turns around, noticing the hostage is still right there. Gripping his weapon confidently, he starts walking toward the young girl. Staring her down, he just points out loud that she did not run away. Scraping together a tiny bit of bravery, Hyen tries to get the creature's attention. Noticing his vibe, she asks with a sliver of hope if the monster happens to be Korean too. Turning his back, he mocks the question, asking if he looks like a human to her. Completely shook, she argues that he speaks the language, knew who she was, and even saved her from that gang. Cutting her off, the goblin harshly warns that he did not do it to save anybody. In total despair, the girl begs for an explanation, claiming she does not get anything that is going on. Pointing down, he asks if she did not hear what the thugs said a minute ago. Getting straight to the point, he clears up that everyone had normal lives, got randomly tossed into this weird world, and are now in a massive mess. Unable to swallow the reality of a new world, Hyen has a meltdown and begs for an explanation that actually makes sense. Seeing her freak out, the little fighter looks super confident about how things work. Stepping closer, he says she should be able to see the truth by now, leaving the girl totally confused. Breaking the silence, the warrior asks if she can see a quest screen popping up and what the system is offering. Absolutely paralyzed, the girl just cries, unable to process the question. Right then, a blue holographic screen lights up in front of her, making the hostage even more confused. With a smirk, the little intruder notices she can see the system too, and suggests she clears whatever quest it gave her to try and adapt. Turning to leave, he coldly tells her to go her own way and fight for her survival. Desperate, the girl throws herself on the floor and grabs the creature's leg, begging for more details because she is completely lost. Feeling the tug, the monster looks back, his face full of pure annoyance. With zero patience, he grabs her clothes and violently lifts her off the ground, making her scream in terror. Making things worse, he points his blood-stained blade right at the girl's chest. Calling her an idiot, the fighter promises he is the most dangerous thing around and asks what else she expected to get from him. Making his goals crystal clear, he warns he will eliminate any human that crosses his path from now on, and that he only let her go because of a random mood. Crying hard, the young girl asks why he is so evil, since he was strong enough to have saved her friends. Hearing those exact words, the goblin freezes instantly, totally stunned. His thoughts drag him straight to a painful flashback in a rain-wrecked camp, where a human soldier was holding his fallen partner, yelling that it was totally unfair. Pressing her body against his, the soldier cries in despair, screaming for backup. Completely crushed by the loss, the young guy hugs the woman, having no clue what to do. Then, the heavy sound of armored footsteps echoes through the wet mud, getting closer to him in the storm. The soldier looks up, seeing a massive figure standing right in front of him. A warrior in silver armor looks down at him, showing the huge power gap between them. It was the famous holy sword Hayuri, giving off absolute ice, queen energy in the face of the tragedy. Overcome by grief, the young guy reminds her she swore to help the squad survive in that brutal environment. He screams with all his might, asking why she betrayed them so badly, since she could have easily saved everyone. Showing zero remorse, the commander says she is sorry, but points out the mission was a total success, and that was just an honorable sacrifice. Drawing her weapon, she sentences the soldier to his end, calling him a traitor for turning on his own teammates. Full of rage, he tries to defend himself, explaining her goons attacked his partner first, and he just tried to stop them, stressing that the woman was expecting his kid. At that exact second, a sneaky cheap shot hits the back of the young guy's neck, catching him totally off guard. Seeing the soldier drop, the commander just orders the traitor to shut his mouth. Collapsed in the freezing mud, he feels his life slipping away while the words, honorable sacrifice, and traitor, loop in his head. Coughing non-stop, the guy realizes her whole promise of help was nothing but a scam. With his face twisted in uncontrollable fury, he curses those trashy humans, promising to get payback on all of them. Feeding a massive hatred in his final moments, the soldier craves the power to tear them apart with his bare hands, accepting whatever cost it takes. Snapping back to the present, the goblin watches the terrified girl, still dealing with his flashbacks. Deciding to clear up her confusion, he agrees to break down the reason behind his vibe. Yelling at the top of his lungs, he reveals his massive hatred for humans, exactly because he is not part of that species anymore. Looking absolutely terrifying, he declares he is now just a green skin. The traumatic memories keep haunting him, bringing back the hollow apology about the noble sacrifice. The image of the commander ordering his demise for treason pops back up like a ghost. The sound of his own desperate voice, trying to justify protecting his family, messes with him again. The leader's coldness telling him to shut up during the fatal blow loops in his mind. The agony of face, planting in the mud without being able to fight back, takes over his brain. All the shame of being labeled a traitor after losing everything he cared about turns into pure fuel for his rage. The disgust for human fake vibes makes the pain in his heart burn even hotter. The wild instinct for revenge and ruining the traitors becomes his only life goal. Like a magical respawn, a single drop hits a dark puddle, signaling the end of his human run. Breaking the water's surface with a beastly roar in the rain, the fighter respawns in a monstrous body. Gasping for air, the creature pants in the freezing water, confused about how he is still breathing. The first thought that takes over his brain is a crazy rush to find his lost partner. Standing up in the shallow puddle, he checks his surroundings, completely lost in the dark. Right under his feet, a giant glowing magic circle proves a summoning just went down. Realizing how serious things are, he just whispers a frustrated curse. Staring at his own clawed hands, the warrior freaks out seeing his body changed into something super weird. Popping out of the shadows, a mystic dude with horns and a staff starts chanting in a strange language, officially canceling his human bloodline. Startled by the voice, he whips his head around to see who it is. The mysterious guy shows up wearing a skull on his head, introducing himself as Morxel, the tribe's shaman. Pointing his glowing staff at the newborn, the shaman decides to officially name the clan's newest member. With huge respect, the entity announces his new name will be Naz-Zar. But a higher power forces a plot twist, and the name Gorls echoes as his true identity. Touching his own glowing chest, the warrior accepts the name Gorls, taking on the role of a grand vessel. Fast-forwarding, the scene shows a defeated human, while the narrator points out that hitting weak spots perfectly is Gorls' signature move. Watching the brawl from far away, a goblin archer smiles, totally hyped, saying his brutal style against humans really does it for her. Back in the present at the camp, the archer tells the rest of the squad to wait while she checks on her buddy. Walking through the woods with a smirk, the warrior looks super chill. Sensing someone, Gorls snaps his head around to see who is pulling up. Shifting his focus back to the human hostage, he tells the girl to get lost right now, before he changes his mind and ends her run. Shaking like a leaf, Hyen asks if she can just tag along, swearing she will do whatever he says. Thinking the idea is totally insane, the warrior asks if she seriously wants to follow the monster who just wasted a guy right in front of her. Crying, the young girl argues he is not a monster because he saved her, pointing out the humans were about to do some messed up stuff. Blaming her panic, she cries on her knees, admitting she is totally alone in this world and has zero clue who to trust. Flicking the girl hard on the forehead, the goblin calls her knave to force a reality check on her. Looking dead serious, he explains that trusting randoms blindly is exactly what got her into this garbage situation. Raising his voice, he tries to make her get that nobody is trustworthy in this ruthless place. Sighing, he mentions she got lucky being the first one dropped in this zone, which means there are probably other human camps nearby. Pointing out a logical fix, he promises she will find people way more reliable than a monster like him over there. Right then, he reaches out and hands her a small survival knife. Holding the blade without getting why, she listens to the fighter's final warning, saying a time will come when she will have to pay a massive price to join a group, either with her body or someone else's life. The goblin suggests Hyen keeps the blade safe and uses it smart, promising a simple scratch would give her a window to run. Shutting down the chat for good, he rudely warns he will end her himself if she tries talking to him again. Watching her savior walk away, the girl begs to know his name before he dips. Walking into the shadows, the warrior remembers his old human name, but trashes that past identity forever. He immediately looks over his shoulder and proudly introduces himself as Gorls, the great vessel and goblin warrior. Sometime later, Gorls calmly digs through a wooden chest inside a dark cave. Right then, the archer Meave sneaks up from behind, super curious to know if he let the human go after swearing to hunt her whole race. Not caring much about the question, the warrior just acknowledges his squadmate is back. The goblin keeps pushing it, complaining the human got his dagger, while she never even got a gift like that. Explaining his master plan, he argues that taking out such a weak target would not drop any XP, and would just be a pointless hassle. Miv gets entirely hyped by the excuse, guessing he prefers high-tier enemies and passionately declaring he is the perfect guy for her. Taking a step closer, the archer asks with curiosity if his main target is that holy sword warrior from before. Gorals quickly steps away from the clingy partner, and points out he does not want to wipe out the warrior, just because she is strong. In a super dark tone, he reveals his real end. Game is to eliminate everyone who wrecked his old world. Hearing that heavy statement, the archer freezes, amazed by her leader's dark goals. The goblin's mind takes him back to that rainy day, remembering the humans ripped away his reason to live, and everything he wanted to protect. Full of bitterness, he repeats that besides taking his family, those backstabbers also took his life. Walking past his partner, the fighter mentions he does not get why he responds like this, but promises nothing is going to stop him now. Freaked out by the heavy vibe, Miv takes a step back when he reveals he made a blind vow. The archer drops to the floor, totally terrified by her leader's monstrous aura. A dark energy rolls off Gorals, who swears to pay literally any price to wipe out the ones who caused him so much pain. The little warrior's eye glows red, giving off pure rage and grudge energy. Overcome by extreme hatred, he promises to make the humans pay for every single detail of what they did to him. Trying to break the ice, Miv gives his leg a little kick to get his attention. Because of that, the goblin looks down and realizes he lost control of his own feelings for a sec. Curled up on the ground, the ally admits she gets terrified seeing her partner overflowing with that much anger. After saying sorry for the jump scare, Gorals changes the subject and orders her to gather the squad so they can take the loot to the shaman. Getting her hype back, the warrior sprints out, calling the rest of the crew to speed up the grind. A while later, the combat goblin is seen standing alone at the top of a huge rock formation, staring at the massive forest under the clouds. He studies the map, calmly prepping for his next moves. With zero distractions, the warrior tracks the movement going on down in the woods. Nearby, a human girl runs in total panic through the trees, trying to dodge a hidden danger. Using the UI like a pro, Gorals pulls up a blue hologram screen on his hand to check his stats. The panel shows he needs to take out 30 humans to level up his class, with only one target left to hit the goal. He thinks to himself that things will get way easier once he becomes a full warrior, since his physical stats are already way better in this form. Out of nowhere, Miv yells for the boss from down below, interrupting his brain rot. The goblin reports the team grabbed all the rare loot from the area and asks what the next play is. Reading the room, the boss explains some survivors managed to run away from the raid, which means backup is definitely showing up soon. Gorals immediately walks through the shallow river and decides to turn that camp into the ultimate graveyard for humans. The sun shines bright in a clear sky, looking super ironic compared to the deadly trap about to be set up there. A bit later, loud noises of ropes and wooden planks echo at the entrance of a dark cave. Showing no hesitation, one of the squad's goblins drops a heavy box on the dirt floor. Wiping the sweat off her face, Miv looks totally exhausted after helping build the whole trap setup. Gorals gives her a quick reality check, demanding the archer handles the gear carefully, making her apologize on the spot. Right then, two more monsters come sprinting up, calling out for the little warrior non-stop. Super proud, one of the minions reports the barricades are perfectly placed, exactly how the boss wanted. The dark cave tunnel is now packed with strategic roadblocks to stall any random trespassers. Even though he respects the team's grind, Gorals tries to shut down the chat, claiming he is not anybody's commander here. Disagreeing with him, the minion doubles down on the title, saying he saw the fighter's power against the humans and respects him as the MC. Hyped by his own speech, the lackey turns to his bro next to him asking for immediate backup. Right away, everyone starts a massive chant echoing through the cave, officially crowning the little fighter as the ultimate boss of the crew. Riding the hype wave, Miv bumps his shoulder blushing hard, announcing she accepts him as her partner too. During the party, a lookout screams in panic, reporting a huge squad of humans is pulling up to the hideout. Drawing his blade confidently, the new leader announces it is showtime and orders the crew to hide in a spot further back. He turns his head and asks if his trusty archer can lay down some cover fire to kick things off. With her bow ready, Neve promises she will empty her quiver without missing a beat to protect her partner. Hyped by the girl's guts, Gorls declares the real fun starts right now. Outside, a whole battalion of armed humans reaches the raid spot and freezes looking at the absolute massacre on the ground. The squad commander grips his giant axe, furious at the thought that a single monster caused all this insane damage. Boiling with rage, the giant dude grabs one of his lackeys by the collar, asking if they're trying to play him for a fool. Shaking with fear, the guy tries to explain, swearing the creature fought like a demon and wiped everyone out solo. The boss calls the guy trash and shoves him away, disgusted by such NPC energy. Unable to keep his balance, the minion falls on his butt in the grass, looking completely pathetic. Ignoring the dropped guy, the commander orders Zhangjae to lead the squad and capture the target alive. Wanting to figure out what actually happened, confirming the order, Zhangjae walks toward the cave, telling his bros they need to bring the monster back breathing. At the exact second they push, a perfect arrow nails the squad commander right in the chest, shocking everyone. The leader drops dead into the dirt, making the rest of the troops freeze completely at the plot twist. Totally mind blown, the gang's second-in-command starts freaking out, trying to spot where the fatal shot came from. Pointing at the cave entrance, one of the soldiers screams, warning the sniper monster is camping in there. Without missing a beat, Neve pulls her bowstring super fast and snipes another arrow with aimbot precision. The new arrow completely wrecks another invader in the blink of an eye, hitting hard enough to knock him off his feet. The injured guy falls over screaming in pain, while the leader yells at his own squad for lagging during an emergency. Hiding in the dark, the archer looks super pleased and trolls the invaders' faces, calling them total idiots. Finishing her part of the strat, she turns around and sprints toward the deepest part of the tunnel. Blinded by rage over the sneak attack, the leader screams, demanding his goons rush the cave and lock the creature up instantly. Acting on pure impulse, the massive human squad rushes the cave, running and screaming like crazy. While sprinting through the dark tunnel, Neve peeks over her shoulder to make sure the intruders are actually chasing her. Showing crazy agility, the archer pulls off a huge jump to clear the traps they literally just set on the floor. After sticking the landing smoothly, she goes back to sprinting toward the back of the hideout. Right behind her, the humans lose all chill and scream orders to catch the useless target fast. The whole platoon charges furiously through the dim tunnel, single-minded about catching the archer. Reaching a safe spot, Neve tells Gorls the enemies are close, and he praises her hustle, telling her to dip through the other exit. The warrior immediately follows the order and runs past the boss heading for the emergency escape. Further back in the hallway, the human horde finally hits the massive wooden barricade blocking their push. Mad at the wall, the boss yells that getting blocked by a little monster is way too embarrassing to ever admit to anyone. Taking the front line, Zhangjae slashes the wooden wall with his blade, putting all his stats into it. The sword strike sparks bright in the dark, violently smashing the roadblock to pieces. Seeing the wall break so easily, the human commander blinks, confused after spotting something sus in the broken wood. Roasting their setup, he asks out loud if the creature actually thought a pile of trash would work as armor. Still, the leader admits the little monster has some tricks and ended up being smarter than his own goons. But the boss's mocking face turns into pure nightmare fuel as soon as he notices one crucial detail. Without realizing, the minion accidentally triggered a hidden trap inside the rubble while trying to squeeze through. Looking closer at the mess, the guy spots a burning fuse right next to a warning sign about gunpowder. Still lagging on what he found, he calls the boss over, asking him to take a look at it. Swallowed by absolute panic, the commander screams desperately, ordering everyone to fall back immediately. The lackey just stands there, totally clueless about why his boss looks so terrified. Before anyone could even react, a massive explosion nukes the tunnel, swallowing the human squad in a brutal heat wave. The blast power is so insane it deletes any chance of survival for the guys in the front row. A giant fireball shoots out of the cave, wiping out everything nearby. Blasted away by the shockwave, Zhangjae flies through the air screaming in pure agony. Crashing hard into the bushes, the guy coughs non-stop and curses the monster with deep hatred for using such a toxic strat. The trap spot turned into nothing but burning rubble, with the survivor tossed on the ground completely wrecked. From the top of the cliff, Neve watches the smoke rise, amazed by how wild the explosion was. Right then, the archer notices her partner acting weird and asks if he is doing okay. totally shook. She stutters his name as she watches Gorls get swallowed by an intense pillar of mystic light. Thanks to 30 enemies getting deleted in the blast, the warrior hits his milestone and gets the system reward to upgrade his class. The magic glow fades out, revealing the little monster has now leveled up into a goblin warrior, looking way more buff and scary. Breathing heavy, he tries to get used to his body's new hitboxes. Showing a focused look, the leader realizes he is feeling brand new stats. Totally amazed by the real vibe of getting stronger, a good distance away, the last human alive rolls in the dirt, holding his arm that got wrecked by the blast. Exhaling pure rage, he complains that he warned them about the risk, saying it was totally deserved, that the boss's ego ruined the whole squad. Right then, a trolling voice pops up, saying it is crazy someone actually tanked that explosive hell, grabbing the guy's attention. Casually walking out of the smoke, Gorls compares the guy's durability to a literal bug. With zero rush, the warrior pulls his dagger, ready to send him back to the lobby. Terrified by the fatal threat, the goon lets out a high-pitched scream of max panic. Pressing the cold blade near the enemy's face, the monster keeps him completely paralyzed in the dirt. Keeping it real, Gorls warns that if he wants to keep his HP, he better answer all questions with no cap, or else he is becoming dinner for the gang. Cutting to a faraway spot, a human lookout casually watches the view from the top of a wooden tower. Leaning on his spear, the guard gets nostalgic, thinking this base of summoned people gives him flashbacks to 10 years ago. While checking out the massive fortress down below, he guesses that no matter how much time passes, human survival strats are always the exact same. Hiding in the bushes, Meave watches the boss deep in thought and asks if something is wrong, but he assures her the new intel just buffed their plans. Stealthily leading his gang through the zone, Gorls decides step 1 is heading back to the shaman to drop the update. Backing the strat, the archer shares her take that they need to upgrade the squad's gear before risking another push. Surrounded by the little warriors, the human hostage demands to be let go, asking if he is not free to leave yet. Trying to save his own skin, the young guy stresses he kept his end of the deal by dropping the exact coordinates of the human base on the map. Keeping his word, the tribe leader agrees a deal is a deal and announces he is sparing the prisoner's life. Mind blown by his own RNG, the minion stutters in relief, thinking he actually dodged a game over. He then orders the monsters to move out of the way, flexing that their boss just let him live. As soon as he gets some distance from the squad, the coward whispers insults at them, thinking he totally finessed the monsters. Right behind him, one of the tribe members raises a blade looking absolutely unhinged. With fatal precision, the minion gets hit by a deep strike straight in the back. At that second, the human lets out a muffled scream of insane pain from the sneak attack. Super quick, another goblin jumps on the guy's back and covers his mouth to mute the sound. Right after, the other members jump him ruthlessly, making sure the prisoner gets an agonizing end right there on the ground. Without looking away from the map, Gorls cynically notes that Head swore not to finish him, but he could not make promises for his squad. The body of the human traitor is now just a symbol of the clan's absolute rage, dumped in the dirt. Back at the hideout, the powerful shaman Merxel listens to the strat and asks, the newbie really wants resources and troops to raid the humans. With huge respect, Gorls calmly breaks down that he already pinned the coordinates, the size, and the whole layout of the enemy base. Radiating confidence in the play, the tactical leader promises the win rate is massive if they pull off an ambush. After hearing the fighter's pitch, the mystic entity stays quiet for a bit, doing the math on the plan. Suddenly, a way bigger warrior crashes the meeting yelling, demanding the shaman rejects the noob's pitch right now. Annoyed by the interruption, Gorls looks over his shoulder, clearly salty about whoever crashed the deal. Stepping up, the hobgoblin named Goff aggressively argues the tribe needs to focus entirely on prepping for the great chief's calling. The giant argues the trip is going to be super long, making it crucial to save all items and fighters from here on out. Scratching his chin, Merxel admits the calling season is coming up, but admits he does not have a solid excuse to reject Gorls' strat. Swallowed by rage, Goff claims the opponent is just a low level and wasting rare drops on him would be a total disaster. Tired of the disrespect, Gorls stands up, stares the big guy down, and challenges him to join the raid to save the clan's troops. Using a toxic tone, the tactician dares his rival to take the deal only if he actually has the guts. Finding the disrespect hilarious, the giant lets out a creepy laugh and asks if the short king is trying to stat check him. Ready to brawl, Goff accepts the 1v1 instantly, swearing to show him the massive power gap between them. Freaking out, Meave runs into the room calling for her grandpa to see if her partner is in there. Staring his rival dead in the eyes, the giant intimidatingly asks if he is down for an official duel. The archer is totally shocked by the crazy idea, letting out a noise of pure disbelief. Being as chill as possible, Gorls accepts the 1v1, locking in the rule that the loser has to grant the winner one wish. Completely stunned by his confidence, the girl screams, refusing to believe what she just heard. Seeing the setup, the Grand Shaman taps his staff and makes the honor battle official between the two. In the middle of the giant ring, the rivals face off while the crowd waits for the brawl to kick off. In the stands, the tribe starts chanting the big guy's name perfectly in sync. The crowd goes wild, showing 100% support for the veteran fighter. Salty, Meave argues with a friend, trying to figure out why nobody canceled this madness. Explaining it away, the friend claims there was zero time to step in, since the short guy locked the challenge. Taking the mic, Merxel announces he will ref the fight, pointing out it is a no weapons, no magic brawl until someone taps out. One of the goblins in the crowd warns the archer that the opponent is way too aggro and will not let the noob walk out breathing. Without delay, the mystic guy raises his hand and officially starts the match. Yelling with max volume, Goff charges the opponent overflowing with rage. Rushing in like a wild animal, the giant trolls that the noob is acting cocky just because he leveled up recently. He swears he is going to break so many of the guy's bones that he will never recover from the debuff. Showing zero fear, Gorls just tracks the rush looking super unbothered. Using all his strength, the big guy throws a punch meant to end the 1v1 right there. Using the open hitbox, the little fighter dodges by ducking super fast under the enemy's arm. In a fast and brutal counter, he lands a clean punch straight to the opponent's jaw, catching him totally off guard. Thanks to the heavy hit, the hobgoblin's body gets launched violently backward. The whole crowd goes dead silent in a split second, stunned by the crazy plot twist. Dumped on the floor, the giant stays dizzy trying to process the smaller guy's stats. Right after, the crowd goes back to cheering loud, declaring the veteran would never quit that easily. Seeing the enemy stand back up, the tactician sarcastically asks if he still wants to keep tanking hits. Driven by pure desperation, Goff traps his opponent in a bear hug, claiming this is endgame for the match. Grinding his teeth from the effort, he squeezes the guy trying to hard CC him no matter what. But the stamina drain takes its toll, and the big guy starts blacking out. Unable to handle his own stamina bar hitting zero, the giant drops to his knees in the ring, totally defeated. Watching the beaten enemy, the winner breathes out relieved and notes the guy is huge, but has literal zero mechanics. In the stands, the archer jumps for joy, hyping up her partner's flawless victory. Taking over, Merxel announces the smaller fighter won, and promises to grant his wish. Showing respect, the warrior bows slightly thanking the entity for the RNG. Right then, he hears someone screaming his name right behind his back. Sprinting desperately, Meave throws herself at the leader, squeezing him in a hug to celebrate. Obsessed, the young girl hypes up the warrior's stats and flexes on the rest of the tribe about how awesome her man is. Full of confidence, she decides that from now on she is going to be his most loyal duo, claiming they are sticking together until the sun goes down. Caught off guard by the vibe, the warrior stammers the girl's name, unable to load that intense confession. Breaking the awkwardness, the girl answers her grandpa's call, who was waiting close by. With a firm move, the shaman taps his staff against the rocky ground. A blue magic glow starts shining from where the staff hit. The mystic energy scales up fast, showing off the old boss's ancient power. Watching the visual effects, the strategist realizes instantly it is a teleport spell. Calling the noob over, the entity warns there is an important VIP he needs to meet ASAP. Following the order without lagging, the fighter follows the wise leader into the glowing portal. Stepping through the magic, they spawn in a long, fancy hallway decorated with gold pillars. Right behind them, the dimensional rift closes up, making a soft noise in the empty room. Stepping on the polished marble, both keep walking through the mysterious base. After walking a bit, they reach the castle's main lobby. Looking around, the warrior notices the premium rugs and high-end design, which is a massive vibe switch from the cave. He walks carefully, taking in the extreme climate change in that bright spot. Suddenly, someone's presence catches him off guard, leaving him visibly sus. Spawning out of nowhere, a woman says nostalgically that it has been a hot minute since she saw old Merxel. Confused by the map, The young guy asks the shaman where exactly they dropped. Instead of explaining, the wise guy tells the warrior to take a few more steps forward. Following the rule, he moves up and stands next to the entity. Raising his hand, the old man points his glowing finger straight at the young guy's forehead. Tapping magic into his head, the shaman demands the warrior bow down to show respect. Feeling the sudden touch, the fighter freezes, trying to process how serious that demand is. Cutting the filler, Morxel announces he is giving the kid full admin rights to start his own, independent tribe. He backs up the pick by pointing out the young guy has crazy skill and merit. Plus he already has a loyal squad. Pointing forward, the wise man says the VIP they came to visit is going to be the main sponsor for this new grind. The camera pans back to the middle of the fancy room, where the mysterious VIP is just chilling. With smooth animations, the woman walks elegantly across the premium rug. Dropping her gamer tag, she introduces herself as the Golden Goblin, radiating pure wealth and high-tier influence. Mind blown, the tactician tries to process the fact he is looking at such a rare, unique evolution. Pulling out an epic chair, the merchant gets comfy to start the chat. Sitting like a boss, she drops the guy's name and mentions the leaks say he is looking to grab some gear. Looking the woman in the eye, he hears the warning that everything has a price tag and there are no freebies. Being polite, the blonde asks him to take a seat, saying she would love to hear his backstory before anything else. Having zero other options, the fighter pulls up a chair on the other side of the desk to start the dialogue. Getting comfortable across from her, he locks in, ready to talk. Showing good faith, he asks straight up which part she wants the Lord dump to start from. Determined to keep it 100, the leader swears to drop all the details on how he responds as a monster, not caring if she buys it or not. Listening to the guy's tragic lore, the Golden Goblin vibrates in her chair, struggling to hold back her hype. Slamming the desk hard, she screams full of excitement, declaring the plot is absolute cinema. Laughing her head off, the woman points at the guy, swearing that was the most fire story she has ever heard. Finding zero humor in her extra reaction, Gorls just snaps his fingers to bring her back to the main quest. Right then, a massive drop of rare gear and magic scrolls flies out of an enchanted chest nearby. The woman points out this revenge arc is definitely going to be the most top-tier piece in her collection. Holding up a finger, she shows she is 100% happy with how the trade is going. The merchant admits she loved every single second, while the warrior just waits for the cutscene to end. Stretching in her premium seat, the Golden Goblin celebrates that she has not been this hyped in years. Staring at the blonde, the leader gets triggered, asking what part of his trauma was so funny it makes him want to end her right there. Skipping the jokes, he gets straight to the point and asks if he can loot the requested gear yet. Laughing even harder, the host agrees it is impossible for the MC to fight without the meta weapons. Jumping out of her chair suddenly, the merchant warns she is not just dropping that loot. Getting all up in his personal space, she swears to hand over an insane bonus for the grand vessel, which leaves him a bit sus. Acting all mysterious, the woman turns around and asks the guests to follow her deeper into the base. With an easy move, the host spawns a golden doorway and tells the warrior to check out the bonus IRL. Holding a book, the blonde sighs remembering the backstab he took. Admitting she is obsessed with this sad lore, no matter how many times she hears it. Now wearing brand new armor and skins, Gorls gives off an epic aura that perfectly fits a tribe boss. Checking out the drip, the woman praises the fighter's new aesthetic and asks if everything is locked in for the raid. Super hyped about the fit, he raises his arms, swearing it is the perfect setup to start the push. Clenching his fist hard, the tactician claims he feels way higher stats running through his body. Chilling in the room, the merchant looks completely confident about the squad she just backed. While the squad's girls finish equipping their gear, the Golden Goblin brags that her business radar never misses. Getting his attention, she tells him to listen closely while she drops the patch notes on how the bonus perks work. Without interrupting, the leader absorbs every word, zeroed in so he does not miss any tactical buffs. The camera cuts to the human soldier's base, showing a white flag with a sword logo waving in the wind. From the top of a mountain nearby, the tactician scopes out the enemy camp while hearing his tribe chant his name in perfect sync. Holding a tactical angle on the cliff edge, the warrior leads his new army, who are sweating for the green light. With the strat locked in, he grips the handle of his new blade tight, ready to get his payback. Calling the push, the boss screams for his warriors to be key, because the revenge arc starts now. A whole ocean of little monsters rushes down the hill furiously, dropping terrifying war cries. Down below, the human flag keeps blowing in the wind, with everyone totally clueless about the incoming raid. Freaking out, a guard sprints as fast as he can across the defense walkway. The guard busts into the commander's room warning about a breach, and the boss guesses the culprits came back. Trying to catch his breath, the sentinel corrects the intel, saying the base is getting rushed by a massive swarm of monsters. Absolutely shook by the update, the leader freezes, not getting where those low-tier mobs found the guts to push a base. Outside, the monster wave smashes the roadblocks and breaches the camp violently, slicing through soldiers with zero mercy. The tactician remembers the merchant explaining the first buff of her gift. The second a minion drops an enemy, the system confirms that the tribe's kill count now feeds straight into the leader's XP. In the flashback, the Golden Goblin points another finger to leak the second perk of their team. The guy listens to the intel closely, sweating to apply every strategic edge in the brawl. He marvels at the memory of the woman spawning the quest UI in front of him like it was nothing. Still mind blown by that, he realizes the merchant has literal dev access to this universe's system. Overflowing with boss energy, the blonde explains he can now open and manage the tribe's quests anywhere, anytime, zero lag. Snapping back to the fight, the warrior swipes his hand to pull up the hologram UI and tracks the kill feed live. Smiling like a psycho, the strategist thinks it is insane to experience a real war that feels just like a video game. Scattered across the map, the invaders clap the soldiers fast, shredding the defenses with pure violence. Giving them 0 frames to react, the monsters push from every angle, dealing catastrophic AoE damage to the enemy squad. A soldier takes a heavy bonk to the face with a wooden club, dropping dizzy instantly. Trying to flip the scoreboard, some guards pull their blades and try to pull off a desperate clutch. Putting all his stamina into the swing, a guard lands a critical hit on one of the rushers, actually managing to drop him in the chaos. Reaching the main courtyard, the human leader yells at his minions, asking if they are seriously scared of such trash-tier mobs. Pointing his blade, the commander tells the squad to drop a brutal punish on those monsters to prove humans are top tier. Before he could even finish his sentence, a crazy fast blur breaks the leader's guard, slicing through the wind. The perfect strike hits the commander right in the eye, leaving the officer completely hard, CC'd by the jump scare and the massive damage. Putting his dagger away, Gorls roasts the dropped human, asking who he was calling trash a second ago. Unable to get up after taking critical damage, the human face plants heavily into the dusty ground. Watching the cursed event, one of the fighters drops his weapon in absolute shock. Seeing his own boss get wrecked by a monster, pure terror takes over the squad, and the guys start running away uncontrollably, screaming those beasts are hacked. The defense line crumbles completely as the call to fall back to the barracks echoes through the mess. The little warrior just watches from a distance as the human battalion cowardly retreats inside the base. Looking completely disgusted, he flames the enemy squad, commenting on how brain-dead their macro is. All around him, the allies cheer for the speedrun win and troll the enemy's embarrassing rage. Quit. Despite the squad's hype, the strategist stays chill and focuses on the real main quest he still needs to clear. The memory of the Golden Goblin pops up again, remembering when she asked if he had locked in a clan tag yet. Right then, he thought super deep about it, knowing that name would define the whole vibe of his new playthrough. The image of his fatal critical hit on the enemy boss flashes as a symbol of his brutality against the race that scammed him, the blood dripping off his weapon's tip axe, as the perfect mood board for the empire he plans to build from now on. Turning to the squad, the new commander turns up his volume and praises his clan bras for the legendary raid they just pulled off. Staring at his grouped-up army, he declares that today, everyone respond as true warriors under the dark moon. The archer listens to the speech getting emotional, having flashbacks to the days when the squad just camped and ran away terrified. The other tribe members look up full of hopium, proud to finally bag a real view against the human race. Pointing his blade at the sky aggressively, the leader swears that from now on, the group is going to unlock even crazier achievements. The crowd hits max hype, screaming perfectly in sync and waiting for the tribe's new rebrand to drop. Slicing the wind with his bloody sword, the great leader names the squad, officially launching the Blood Dagger clan. The camera pans to the human camp, completely wiped out by the goblin's violent push. Super happy with the outcome, the Golden Goblin says she loved the Blood Dagger name choice. Curious, the blonde paces the room, asking why exactly he picked that specific weapon for the logo. Keeping it practical, Gorls explains his first W after respawning happened holding exactly a dagger. The fighter stresses that getting his first elimination in a monster skin permanently attached his lore to that gear. Calling the logic flawless, the woman leans back in her chair, admitting the lore just got way more interesting. Confused by all the free carries, the warrior asks why she is being such a bro, and what she is actually gaining from this. Walking toward a plush seat, the blonde claims she just appreciates good lore, especially the edgy stuff. She sinks into the chair, saying revenge plots usually print massive profit for her brand. The merchant adds that when she listened to his backstory earlier, she completely absorbed all that pent-up rage. The squad boss listens quietly, trying to figure out what her actual angle is with this chat. Pointing her finger at the fighter, she notes his visible agony was the absolute peak of the cutscene. Completely obsessed with the plot, the blonde confesses she cannot wait to see what the finale of this tragic lore is going to be. Putting up with his allies' weird quirks, the tactician shows respect for the clutch support that made the camp siege a breeze. Letting out a loud laugh, the woman flexes about the bag she is going to secure, leaving the young guy salty when he realizes she plans to monetize his life through a book. Wrapping up the meeting, the Golden Goblin wishes the powerful tribe boss an epic grind. Far away, the military fortress of the 13th Guard Unit stands tall near the mountains. A flyer pinned to a wooden board warns about a sudden spike in raids, demanding the squad stay extra frosty. Inside the base, a human guard punches the desk, absolutely raging at the current meta. Identified as Lee Sang-jun, the officer yells, asking if it even makes sense for the team to be this terrified of trash-tier mobs. A squadmate tries to defend, playing it safe, reading the stats that say these monsters are bugged and push with actual comms. Ignoring the warning, the officer aggressively crushes a document out of pure rage. Tossing the paper ball at his bro, Lee asks why there is a monster going solo when that species always pushes as a stack. The teammate reports half the survivor camp got wiped, but the commander doubles down, saying that just proves those victims had literal skill issues. Seeing the perfect opening, the battalion leader decides to exploit the chaos to secure a free rank up. A little nervous about the risky play, the ally asks what the exact strat for the plan is. The camera focuses on the crumpled paper on the floor, while the leader talks trash about the invaders. Super confident in his stats, the officer swears he is going to manually wipe out every single monster. Deep inside a freezing cell, a plate of food gets thrown across the room, splashing the meal all over the stone. Camping in the corner of the jail, the girl Hyeon hugs her knees, looking totally depressed from the toxic treatment. Standing outside the bars, Lee trolls the hostage, pointing out she dodged her meal again. Shaking with anger, Hyeon calls the guards trash and asks if they spiked her food again. The commander drops a sarcastic laugh, fake gasping at the girl's toxic comms. Turning his back on the cell, he crosses his arms and drops a messed up insult about her mom. Losing her mind over the troll, the young girl violently grabs the iron bars and flames the officer with pure hatred. The guy walks away faking sadness, complaining the squad was nice enough to carry her, and she acts totally ungrateful. Coming close again, he claims the soldiers were just trying to mess around a bit. But she randomly pulled a blade out of nowhere. Unable to counter the fake news, the hostage drops her head in defeat. Running out of patience, the commander violently shakes the bars to jump scare her. Stepping back a bit, he lets out a tired sigh, making it obvious how much her pointless throwing annoys him. Using an intimidating tone, he announces it is time to show the girl her actual purpose in the camp. Summoning one of the guards, the commander orders them to tie the hostage up and hand her to the hunting squad as soon as they log back in. The bald minion accepts the quest instantly and laughs, saying the girl is cooked, since she is just going to be used as bait. The camera cuts to the middle of a creepy forest at night, lit only by the dim moonlight. With zero armor, Hyeon is gagged and tied to a wooden stake in the bushes, placed exactly like a trap. On the forest floor, a bunch of gold coins are scattered around, creating a super sus trail in the dark dirt. The girl stays tied up barefoot, with zero escape routes if a monster randomly spawns. Hiding in the bushes, two humans camp the trap, while the younger one complains about the nasty smell. The veteran hunter explains he spammed tree sap around the zone to glitch the monster's radar. Still sus of the strat, the young guy asks if his bro has a 100% guarantee the exploit will work. Super confident, The veteran promises the setup is perfect, and the coins will pull aggro from the targets. Buying the logic, the guy notes that human greed really works like magic in any lobby. Even so, he doubts again if using coins as the only bait is actually meta. Trying to chill his partner out, the veteran repeats the zone was set up flawlessly to avoid any misclicks. He assumes the targets are naturally greedy and will not be able to resist the urge to loot the drop. Plus, the hunter leaks that the accessory on the girl's neck has a heavy buff for pulling monster aggro. Finding it funny, the younger guy jokes that the creatures just want to have fun too, instantly getting flamed by his partner. Crouching, the guy uses a creepy tone to explain the females usually drop better meat. Staring into the dark, he finishes his messed up thought saying the girl will make a top-tier meal. Totally grossed out by the bro's vibe, the guy looks away, complaining about how unhinged he treats the girl's life. Hours later, a skinny green hand finally loots one of the coins off the floor. The goblin holds the shiny gold up to the moon, mind blown by the random loot drop. Prepping the weapons in the grass, the veteran tells his bro to stay hyper-focused, because the targets took the bait. The tribe pushes up, looting the gold easily, roasting the humans' negative IQ for dropping so much cash in the woods. Tracking the zone from stealth, Gorls notices something super sus going on right up ahead. The clan commander spots the tied-up hostage and IDs the girl almost instantly. Sweeting to break free, the girl wiggles against the ropes, panting hard. Stopped on the path, the strategist is mind blown by the girl's terrible RNG to end up in that trap again. Not caring at all about the obvious bait, the leader and his squad just keep walking, ignoring the tied-up woman. With tears in her eyes, the girl is hit with massive shock, watching her only carry walk away. Looking back, the fighter trolls her, asking if she has some weird kink for getting tied to trees. Unable to use voice chat, the girl closes her eyes, feeling massively embarrassed by the cringe spot she was forced into. Sighing tiredly, the tactician keeps walking, flaming the zero IQ of the guys who drafted that strat. Seeing the play fail, the hunters act fast to ready their crossbows in the bushes. Focused on the bounty, the leader orders his bro to aim for the legs, reminding him they need a live capture. Weapons drawn, one of the snipers tells his partner to chill so they can aim directly at the squad boss. But at that exact frame, a gadget triggers, yanking the hunter's leg with insane force. Tied to the wood, Hyen screams in panic, warning the zone is trapped and begging the monsters to stay back. Standing casually near her, Gorls just confirms it calmly, leaving the girl confused. Showing perfect map awareness, the warrior pings the exact bush where the snipers are camping in the dark. Instantly, the goblin squad pushes up carefully to box in the human targets. Blades out, Meave and the rest of the fighters sprint into the brawl. Smirking toxically, the tribe boss trolls the fact the snipers got caught in the trap he literally set up. Tied up, the girl cannot figure out how the creature predicted the whole script. The plot rewinds, showing the events from 3 days ago that led up to this exact moment. On a chill farm, the vibe is super heavy around a wooden barn. Inside, a bunch of farmers are forced on the floor under the Goblin clan's watch. Taking the mic, Gorls coldly warns them not to make him repeat the order, promising peace if they just sell some supplies. Terrified, an old man hands over some bags of veggies, asking if that amount is enough. Seeing the tiny food drop, the tribe leader looks visibly disappointed. Begging for mercy, the old guy explains the soldiers taxed them crazily, and that was all the server had left. Crying, the old man points out those veggies were their only shot at keeping their families fed. The little strategist scans the room with a heavy look, actually feeling bad for the workers' terrible RNG. Letting out an annoyed sigh, the warrior flames the soldiers for griefing their own players and asks how they even dare call themselves human. Staring at the bags on the floor, he complains that tiny drop would not buff the clan for even 3 days. Shock in the whole lobby, the warrior tosses a stack of gold straight into the old farmer's hands. The guy stares at the cash, totally stunned by the creature's massive tip. Locking in the trade, Gorls announces he is only taking half the veggies and tells them to use the cash to stock up, since the gold would last for months. Emotional, the old man shows his thanks by calling the creature Sir, but he instantly demands the guy drop the formal title. Right then, a minion asks what to do with the human guards they captured nearby. Switching his tone, the leader orders the soldiers deleted immediately, claiming trash like that does not deserve to use oxygen. Without a second thought, the tribe wipes the prisoners fast and ruthlessly. Terrified by the violence, the locals shrink down and look away to dodge the gore. Carrying the loot, The leader just turns his back and slowly walks away from the zone. Outside the farm, he looks back, looking like he just cooked up a 200 IQ play. In a quick animation, someone snatches a flyer pinned to the community's wooden wall. The poster says the local guard is looking for snipers to wipe out goblins, offering gold drops and tax evasion. Reading the paper, the commander smiles evilly, thinking the humans are getting way too cocky. Sprinting happily through the field, Meave pulls up asking if the boss already stored everything. Showing the flyer, he confirms they got the loot, but points out the soldiers are trying to hunt the squad. Hyped for the chance, he tells the archer to group up the fastest fighters, because he wants to stat check the humans. Saluting proudly, the warrior swears she never throws for her partner. Back to the present night at the forest camp. Sharp teeth chomp a carrot over the fire. The tribe chills and heals up around the flames after the flawless raid. Chilling on a log, Meave curiously watches a sus event happening nearby. Walking smoothly, the commander walks past her heading toward the fire. A girl desperate for HP items aggressively chews a piece of bread, barely even swallowing. Freed from the ropes and wearing baggy clothes, Hyen cries and hiccups while eating in the dirt. Sitting near her, Goral suggests the girl slow down so she does not choke. Looking at the muddy hostage, he points out her terrible RNG for finding trouble is honestly impressive. Voice cracking, Hyen asks if there is any way she can join his party, swearing to follow any command. Crying, she screams she cannot tank the pain of this trash life anymore. Turning his face, totally unbothered, the tactician reminds her he already rejected that trade. Losing it, the girl complains he should not have messed with the lobby, if he was just going to drop her again, saying she would rather have just gotten game overed. Keeping his ice-cold aura, the fighter claims he jumped in because he felt like it, not out of pity, or at least he pretends to buy that. Doubling down on his stance, the goblin swears he is not playing her permanent bodyguard and decides to end the co-op right there. Standing up fast, he admits he messed up and sentences her to grind survival solo from now on. As he tries to leave, the human grabs the creature's clothes tight so he cannot glitch away. Staring the monster down with pure rage and panic, she demands he wipes her out right that second. Freaked out by the crash, the warrior steps back, caught totally lacking. Through her tears, she claims she prefers a game over rather than getting captured by that coward Lee Sang-jun and tanking more torture. Hearing the officer's name, Goral freezes instantly and tells the girl to pause. Showing a face fully swallowed by rage, the leader asks if she meant the officer from the 13th unit. Spooked by the sudden vibe shift, the girl asks if he knows the guy. Rubbing his chin darkly, the tactician leaks he knows exactly who that NPC is. Blinded by past grudges, the fighter sentences that the officer does not deserve his HP bar. Focused on data mining, the leader demands to know how long she was locked in the base. Dizzy, Hyen admits it was only a few days and says she does not get why he is interrogating her. Being quick, the warrior orders the young girl to drop all the lore she saw at the camp before he locks in a decision. Far away, a tiny blade slices flower petals out of pure boredom. Sitting on the wood, the archer waits for patch notes while destroying the flower. Breaking the AFK silence, Goral calls his partner loud and clear. Looking up, Meave smiles brightly when she hears the boss's ping. Walking up, the leader tells her to group up the fastest and most broken goblins in the clan, leaving the girl curious. Flashing an unhinged look, the warrior announces he is drafting a special ops squad to permanently delete the human base. The camera jumps to the massive stone fortress of the army under the sunlight. Inside the room, a nameplate highlights Commander Lee Sang-jun's tag. Chilling in his chair, the human breathes heavy, sweating and looking like he is loving the current event. A closer shot shows the officer with his eyes closed, getting some private VIP service under his desk. Leaning his head back, the officer praises the person down there, saying they are doing a top-tier job. The room's door gets smashed open by a minion in absolute panic mode. Out of breath, the soldier says the commander needs to check the absolute chaos outside right now. Fixing his fit in a rush, the guy complains, wanting to know what bug spawned at such a bad time. Outside, flies swarm around the dropped body of an army guard. A pile of dropped soldiers gets dumped roughly from a cart into the courtyard. The squad crowds around the bodies while a soldier explains they found the wipe players early in the morning. Breaking down the logs, the minion reports the bodies belong to the hunters who went out, and the rest of the party is MIA. Disgusted by the graphics, the officer throws up on the floor, and the minion asks if he needs a heal. Wiping his mouth while panting, the leader orders them to buff security and call for backup instantly, guessing the targets are hacked. Resting his hand on his leg, he sighs, remembering a trash player from his past. His mind goes back to when he was the highest ranked officer, calling battles with a massive ego. In the salty flashback, a bloody human spits juice and flames the officer, predicting he would end up totally pathetic. Seeing Gorl's face in his head, the leader remembers the exact day he watched the guy get deleted. Staring at the fortress through the window, the guy cannot process how the warrior survived that whole disaster. Swallowed by rage, the commander punches his own desk, screaming toxic insults. Pulling his hair in panic, Lee loses it, asking what the actual code is behind those creatures. He refuses to accept the L, since goblins have always been ranked as the most useless trash in the game. Salty about the raid, he asks how the low-tier tribe dared to push the guard with such an embarrassing, broken strat. Demanding action, the leader wants to confirm the backup ping already went out, getting a yes from the minion. In the sky, a carrier pigeon flies across the map super fast to deliver the emergency ping. The day goes by chill in the mountain zone, covering up the massive boss fight that is brewing. Near the deep woods, a rustic house sits isolated on the edge of the map. Inside, Gorls checks his inventory and confirms he can scale stone walls with zero stamina issues. Suddenly, a weird audio cue grabs the warrior's attention, making him scan the ceiling looking sus. Hanging from the wooden beams, a mob with bat wings spies on everything with a creepy face. Ignoring the weird NPC, the goblin casually flips a gold coin in the air. An old merchant catches the cash mid-air, and the warrior opens a chat with him. Flexing his aura, the leader says the gold is his payout for not griefing the plans today. Then, he tosses a few more coins on the table to cover the stealth gear he looted. Staring dead into the merchant's eyes, the goblin claims they are even, and orders the old man to never cross his path again. Sweeting buckets from the threat, the human nods his head non-stop on mute. With the trade locked in, Gorls opens the wooden door and walks out of the remote house. The second he steps out, Meave runs up happily, leaking she built the exact squad the boss asked for. The two drafted goblins salute, swearing absolute loyalty to the tribe, super proud to carry for the leader. The strategist drops a GG for the archer's hustle, leaving the girl blushing and obsessed with the attention. Grouping the fighters, the combatant orders them to push the base's front gate as soon as it gets dark, focusing on drawing aggro while the archer drops cover fire. Staring at his allies, the leader throws the weapons on the ground and demands they equip them right now. Radiating pure confidence, he announces that from this frame forward, those two officially make up the strike team. During the night, a spam of flaming arrows rains down on the human base, lighting up the dark sky. A lookout spams the emergency bell. Screaming, the mobs are aggressively raiding the compound. Hard carrying the front line, the archer tells her bros to spam fire at the barricade without pausing. While the server lags from the chaos outside, the sound of panicked footsteps echoes through the base's main hub. The commander's wooden door gets smashed by a terrified soldier. The soldier desperately reports the camp is tanking a massive arrow spam from every angle, catching the officer lacking. Totally on edge, the commander orders them to lock the gates right now and sends all the boys to camp the main entrance. Shaking from the pressure, the guard salutes and sprints away to follow the officer's macros. Isolated in his candle-lit office, the commander drops into his chair, feeling the weight of the panic shatter his ego. Sweating cold, he confirms his rid that the beasts are bugged, because low-tier mobs never raided a base with this much confidence. Punching the desk, he guesses the only play is to camp until backup spawns, praying the rushers do not break the walls. But in the darkest, most ignored corner of the map, a metal hook latches perfectly onto the top of the wall. Patrolling that zone, one of the guards spots the glitch and decides to check it out. The guard leans over the stone cover, trying to scan the pitch black down below. In a split-second animation, a dagger hits the human from below, canceling any chance of him hitting the comms. The red stuff sprays as the guard logs out after the flawlessly executed sneak attack. Sidelined, the body falls backward on the wall, dropping his spear and leaving the path 100% clear. Pulling himself up like a pro, Gorls vaults the stone wall and breaches the base in full stealth mode. Scanning the empty zone, the goblin confirms the decoy strat worked perfectly and drops a mental GG to the archer. Behind him, the tactical squad finishes their climb and follows up the stealth push. Gripping their new gear tight, the goblins ping the leader, waiting for the next commands, radiating toxic energy and flashing their teeth. The warriors show they are completely ready to grief the base. Without lagging, Gorls tells the squad to push, clear the lane, and focus the VIP target, which is the army commander. The monsters sprint quietly down the base's stairs, abusing the lack of guards. Near the dorms, a human spots the breach and asks who is walking around in the dark. Before he can ping his squad, the Goblin duo throws their ranged weapons with aimbot accuracy. The projectile crosses the room at a crazy speed, flying straight at the human. The strike headshots the guy perfectly, deleting the target instantly with zero chill. Keeping the momentum up, the team rushes down the stairs without letting anyone block the path. The strategist pushes with his blade ready, zeroed in on finding the office of the guy who ruined his playthrough. In a different corner of the fort, a soldier complains about his teammates panicking, getting backstabbed right after. The hit catches the human right in the throat, muting his comms and dropping him instantly. Abusing the open angle, the clan commander pushes another sentinel, neutralizing the active threat. The human's heavy hitbox is shoved down the stairs, tumbling violently to the ground floor. Watching the body drop, the Goblin trolls the fall damage and gets back to his relentless hunt for the army leader. Camping in his office, the sound of bodies hitting the floor leaves Commander Lee Sang-jun in a state of absolute shock and panic. Suddenly, the heavy door to the room gets smashed hard from the outside, signaling the final boss has arrived. The office door explodes violently, completely deleting the lock. Holding his blade, the human backs up begging for the lieutenant, fully swallowed by despair. At that moment, heavy footsteps echo in the room, and the invader reads the panic in the enemy's voice. Walking chill into the room, Gorls trolls him, warning the guy is going to lose his mind when he sees his face. The commander goes into full system shock, refusing to accept that monstrous creature is actually there. Swallowed by panic, he raises his weapon demanding the glitch's ID, furious that a mob is speaking his language. Ignoring the officer's mental breakdown, the warrior says that detail should not even matter right now. Leaking his lore, the Goblin greets Lee Sang-jun, dropping his old partner's actual name. Hearing the beast say his name, the human freezes in pure terror. The screen suddenly cuts, showing a frantic sprint down a dark hallway. In the high-stress flashback, Lee Sang-jun himself runs desperately from the front line. Out of breath and zero stamina, the officer cries he cannot take another step and is going to die of exhaustion. Behind him, a soldier named Shin Deok-ho cries, begging for a heal. With zero mercy, the human leader tells his bro to stop crying and keep running. Focused 100% on surviving, he swears to wipe the monsters as soon as he gets an opening. Right then, an enemy keeps hunting the humans relentlessly. Swallowed by despair, the young guy screams he cannot tank the pressure and demands the boss speed up. Full of rage, the kid regrets trusting Lee Sang-jun, realizing they were all just used as bait. Suddenly, the kid's face shows pure horror watching the brutal end of his teammate who was left behind. Sprinting to the exit, he hears the boss cynically telling him to hold on because the safe zone is close. Escaping to survive, the hero swore to manually delete his ex-leader if he made it out, but regrets never finishing the quest before getting game overed. Snapping back to the office in the present, the strategist demands the human officer's attention. Gripping his blade tight, the Goblin gives him a dark warning that he is about to start an interrogation. Flashing a creepy smile, the creature suggests they swap to a more isolated map, since this room was not exactly the vibe. Shaking all over, the human threatens him with the sword and screams he is not moving an inch. Wasting zero time, the warriors aim their loaded weapons, while the leader claims he can just turn him into Swiss cheese and drag him anyway. Realizing he is soft-locked, the commander sweats cold and complains, feeling the fear totally delete his tough guy act. Stepping closer, Gorls brutally reminds him that the cocky officer never treated him like an actual player in his past life. Giving him zero reaction time, the warrior drops a heavy strike, hard sinking his rival instantly. With the guy tied up and gagged, the clan squad starts falling back through the compound. Reaching the top of the stone fortress, the tied-up guy is just dumped on the wall carelessly. Out of patience, the Goblin lands a heavy hit on the hostage, throwing the cowardly human into the dark drop. The guy falls at max speed through the cold air. Hitting the ground with a brutal impact, the human groans through the gag, traumatized by the fall damage. Down below, the monster tribe laughs at the clip, noting the fall damage wasn't fatal, exactly as planned. Super fast, one of the minions violently grabs the human's hair, canceling any chance of him trying to glitch out. From the top wall, The warrior confirms the squad is safe and orders them to ping the retreat to the archer. Following the macro instantly, a warrior plays an instrument to announce the raid was a massive W. Camping outside, Meave hears the sound echoing across the battlefield. Taking the lead, the warrior yells for the tribe to cancel the push and fall back immediately. From the top of the walls, the humans watch the moves, totally confused by the mob's random rage. Quit. Seeing the chill vibe, a lieutenant raises his arms, telling them to hold fire, and breathes out, relieved by the enemy retreat. After the chaotic raid, the sun logs in, lighting up the server and dropping a fake piece over the map. Way off from the base, a tiny safe zone in the woods starts its daily grind. In the wooden community zone, a guy politely offers grilled meat to a guest. Sitting in the dirt, a long-haired girl stares at the food looking sus, keeping her guard all the way up. The old man tries to open a chat nicely, promising the food has premium stats. Staying on mute, the young girl just turns her face, rejecting the guy's trade offer. Reading the tension, the man clarifies the food isn't poisoned and asks her to chill out a bit. The heavy silence sticks around, proving the girl's massive debuff from her trauma. Breaking the awkward silence, the human starts talking more seriously to drop his thanks. He explains that if the monsters had not carried him, he would have gotten the same game over as the local soldiers. Explaining her logic, the girl reveals she accepted the party invite because he was the only one who actually showed empathy instead of trolling her. Curious about her lore, the old man asks if she is part of the summoned players. To clear up the slang, he explains they call anyone who spawned from outside this server summoned. Hugging her knees, Hyen agrees, whispering that the tag perfectly describes her current nightmare playthrough. The old guy shares the leaks that those players unlock mystic buffs when they clear quests, and asks if she has anything like that. Hearing the term, the girl processes the question and starts staring at an invisible spot in front of her. Instantly, a blue holographic UI pops up, rendering only on her screen. The glowing panel shows a tutorial quest, asking the girl to secure one elimination to unlock her skill tree. At the exact same time, from the top of a bush nearby, the clan's campers track the chat, trying to guess what they are whispering about. Laughing at the humans, one monster drops a totally inappropriate joke about what a guy and a girl usually do when they are solo. Triggered by the toxic comms, the archer Meave bunks the minion on the head to teach him some basic chat etiquette. Watching the brawl from above, Gorls scolds the behavior, while his duo jokes the clan has way too much energy today. The scene jump cuts to a pitch-black room where screams of pure agony break the dark silence. Completely wrecked by the combo, Commander Lee Sang Jun keeps tanking hits while tied to a chair in the middle of the room. A devastating punch connects with the prisoner's face, making him spit juice and groan in pain. Keeping up his ruthless boss energy, the little commander drops a clear demand, forcing the enemy to leak his secrets. Staring down the tied-up human, the goblin wants to know exactly how he dodged a wipe in that suicide mission. Panting, the human trolls back, saying he is only alive because his HP did not hit 0, pretending to dodge the actual question. Punishing the toxic reply, the clan leader drops a heavy punch on the officer's face and announces that answer was straight garbage. Giving 0 cooldowns, a spam of hits brutally massacres the hostage without pausing. Unable to tank the max level pain, the officer screams, desperately begging for the spam to stop. Mentally broken by the torture, the prisoner starts crying and begs to know what the creature actually wants him to leak. Showing 0 chill, Gorls just repeats the question in a super toxic and direct way, ready to data mean the truth no matter how banned the strat is. Crying and totally lost, Lee Sang Jun asks how he's supposed to prove he's still kicking, cause asking a dude who's visibly breathing why he's alive is just terrible logic. Still sounding super menacing, Gorls clears things up. He literally watched the guy get strung up in the town square, adding that Hyu Rai herself did the honors. Gasping for air, the guy asks if the monster means the holy sword Hyu Rai, looking totally baffled as to why she would ever send him packing. Calling the tactician crazy, the soldier swears he's never even seen this lady's face and has 0 clue about any execution. Gripping the hostage's face hard, the warrior asks why a total scrub like him would play dumb. He blames the guy for gathering the summoned folks under the fake promise of helping out, just to use them as free labor. Squeezing even harder, he calls the human out for handing over the women of the team to his bosses, leaving the hostage absolutely terrified and in a world of hurt. The goblin keeps spilling the tea on the past, recalling how the dude bailed to the west with those people. And fast forward 4 months, he was caught and taken out by the Holy Sword. Between coughs, the captain swears this is all one massive lie. He claims he never went west and has been chilling in this area for a little over 1 year. Hearing that, the little warrior is completely thrown off by this wild plot twist. Feeling the monster's heavy hand crushing his bruised face, the human just keeps coughing his lungs out. Reading the room like a pro, the clan leader notices the officer actually seems to be telling the truth about how long he's been hanging around here. With that in mind, he thinks about how Lee Sang-jun is just a captain right now, not a commander, trying to figure out what massive detail he's missing. A crazy realization hits the warrior like a truck, making him freeze for a second as he considers an absolutely insane theory. Switching gears out of nowhere, he drops the hostage and demands to know today's date, leaving the guy totally confused by the mood swing. Having zero patience for lag, the monster smacks the human in the face again, ordering him to spill the exact day and year. Spitting blood and totally throwing in the towel, the guy says today is May 7th of the Imperial Year 86. The tactician just freezes, repeating the year out loud as he tries to process this massive glitch in the Matrix. Covering his face with his hand, he struggles to get his thoughts together after such a mind-blowing discovery. Completely silent, the leader turns around and heads for the exit, just as the hostage asks where the heck he thinks he's going. Panicking, the captain yells, demanding the monster let him go right this second, since he already got all the info he wanted. Stopping in his tracks, the warrior looks over his shoulder and casually mentions he almost forgot one tiny, super important detail. Stepping up behind the hostage, the little leader remembers an old vow he made way back, while the human begs him to stop stalling and untee the ropes. His mind flashes back to the era when he was still a human, recalling the pure, unfiltered rage he felt when he promised to eliminate this absolute clown with his own 2 hands. Snapping back to the present, the tactician grabs Lee Sang-jun's head tight, catching him totally off guard. With one swift and savage move, he delivers the final blow, wrapping up this problem for good and giving the guy zero chance to fight back. Staring at his defeated enemy in the chair, the goblin sighs with relief that, at the end of the day, he actually kept his promise. Dawn starts lighting up the area around the lonely wooden cabin, deep in a forest covered in morning mist. Looking at things logically, the boss realizes he's in the year 86, exactly 5 years before the moment his previous run ended. This realization changes everything. It dawns on him that this isn't just a simple respawn. It's a legit time travel situation. Accepting his new reality, the leader opens the creaky wooden door and steps out of the cabin, looking totally determined. Walking over the wet grass, the warrior heads toward the human girl, who's huddled on the ground near the camp wall. Calling her by her name, Jang Ha-yan, he asks if she has a second for a real talk. Super hyped to get his attention, the girl jumps up quick, nodding her head. The two start chatting right there in the courtyard, with the girl hanging on to every word her hero says. The morning vibe in the village is super chill, with a light breeze rustling the leaves under a clear sky. Getting all serious, the little tactician crosses his arms for a make or break convo with the system's prisoner. Telling her to listen up, he asks if she still wants to tag along with him, and gets an instant affirmative answer. Keeping it 100% real, he warns her that they need to get one major thing straight before moving forward. He absolutely cannot guarantee her safety. The warrior breaks it down, saying this journey is going to be way harder than anything she's faced so far, stressing that she'll have to watch her own back. With zero hesitation, the human claps back that she still wants to roll with him, fully aware of the crazy risks. Seeing she's dead serious, the leader tells her to perfectly memorize one specific phrase. After dropping some vocabulary in monster speak, he translates it for her, explaining that the phrase means she's a goblin's war prize. Confused as to why she needs to say that, she asks how it works in practice, and he explains that this sentence basically claims she belongs to him. Pointing a finger, the tactician says dropping that line will keep most goblins from laying a hand on her. But he makes it crystal clear that surviving today is totally on her. The girl just listens quietly, while the monster warns her there's still one more crucial detail to cover. Turning to walk away, the leader lets her know she's totally free to bounce whenever she wants if she gets cold feet. Super relieved by her hero's vibe, the human genuinely thanks him for the chance. Running after him right after, she nervously asks if she can call in a favor, making the boss stop and listen. Tearing up a bit, The girl admits she really needs a place to shower, 'cause it's been a hot minute since she last got to wash up. Losing his patience a little, the warrior yells for Meave, and she instantly pops up looking super hyped. Meanwhile, he sarcastically thinks to himself that the archer definitely wasn't eavesdropping. Pointing at the girl, the boss tells his partner that the human is his loot now and orders her to spread the word to the rest of the clan. Meave looks a bit confused, but is totally ready to follow orders. Peace keeps ruling over the small farming village as the morning rolls by quietly. Nearby, a makeshift white cloth acts as a curtain, giving Hyen a private spot to finally get a bath, with plenty of steam rising into the chilly morning air. Outside the DI bathroom, the tactician and the village elder are having a super polite chat about everything that just went down. Sighing, the little warrior apologizes for the mess, admitting that, like it or not, he still owes the farmer big time. Chuckling at that, the old man tells him not to sweat it, swearing the debt is already paid off with interest. Gorls watches his crew dragging Captain Lee's body across the yard and mentions the tribe was gonna clean up that trash before leaving anyway. Laughing at the situation, the villager admits that if the monster had just left the body there, he would have sliced it up for bait himself, clearly picking up on the warrior's personal beef with the officer. Getting a bit more serious, the old man says literally nobody in that village could stand the human garrison. The elder remembers the rough times when the captain was extorting the locals with crazy taxes, and the guards would swipe whatever food was left, calling it a military seizure. Confessing his own grudge, the farmer says he probably shouldn't be spilling this in front of the leader, but admits those thugs were the only reason he became a monster hunter in the first place. The captain's body keeps getting dragged across the dirt, while the old man claims plenty of folks are gonna throw a party when they find out that tyrant is gone. Cutting into the convo, Meave rushes over holding a pile of fresh laundry, asking where her partner wants to stash the clothes they scored from the human market. The warrior tells the archer to hand the clothes to the girl in the bath, leaving Meave absolutely triggered that he's offering brand new gear to a simple war prize. From behind the curtain, the human yells the monster language phrase the leader taught her, leaving the archer completely mind-blown as she wonders if this girl is some kind of pet. Covering his ears because of the screaming, the tactician orders his partner to lower her voice and stop being so dramatic, since everyone there already knows the deal. Walking solo through the woods right after, Gorolz tries to process the whole getting wiped out by the holy sword and respawning via time travel thing. Thinking deeply, he realizes that guys like Lee Sang-jun, who should have been gone for years, are still casually walking around because the clock got rewound. Thrilled with this conclusion, the little leader's face lights up with a dark excitement as he pieces this whole temporal puzzle together. Letting out a low, sinister laugh, he clenches his fists, hyped about all the new chances he just scored. Fully understanding the rules of this new game, he sees the massive perks of his current status. The goblin's eyes go wide as an epic realization hits him. His beloved Solji might actually still be kicking in this timeline. The memory of his former human partner running alongside his past self takes over his mind, making him realize that getting payback on Haiyu can totally wait. Thinking about the woman he deeply loved, he decides that keeping her safe is his absolute #1 priority from now on. Staring at a massive fortress in the pouring rain, the warrior vows that this time, he won't let her meet her end for any reason whatsoever. Holding that hardcore pose in the rain, the warrior swears he'll wreck the entire world if that's what it takes to save the girl he loves. A while later, the captain's body is just hanging upside down, tied to a tree right in the middle of the creepy forest. Right then, a human search party is trekking through the woods with torches, only to stumble upon this absolute horror show. The officer's face already shows clear signs that he checked out quite a while ago. On horseback, one of the warriors confirms it's the captain, bummed that the squad pulled up way too late to save him. Looking at the state of the body, the squad's archer cringes and asks if the monsters really had to string the guy up like that. On the flip side, the group's mage states super seriously that the rumors were spot on. This definitely wasn't your average goblin. Catching the heavy vibes, the squad's big veteran admits he's got a terrible feeling about this, warning them that the enemy they're dealing with now is built totally different. Hearing that, the leader tells the team to focus on bagging the officer's body first, noting the creature might have left some clues behind. Locked in on the job, the veteran orders everyone to double check their weapons and armor right away. Seeing their captain looking like that just fuels the squad's rage, and they decide to completely wipe out whoever did this. Fueled by pure anger, the leader vows they'll destroy every single monster that laid a hand on their colleague. The scene then cuts to the massive gates of a fort swinging open on a sunny day. The mercenary squad rides into the base, grabbing everyone's attention as people notice the search party is back. Checking out the vibe from afar, a local guard guesses they must have found the captain, but the heavy atmosphere makes it pretty obvious the guy didn't come back breathing. As soon as they hit the courtyard, the new head of security struts over with a smug smirk, making snarky comments about them wrapping up early. This guy is the newly promoted captain, who clearly couldn't care less about the disaster. Getting straight to business, the old man says they were unfortunately too late, and the coroner already checked the body on the way back. The veteran shakes a bag of coins in his hand, flexing the payout they scored. Trying to smooth things over, the new officer mentions the hire. Ups decided to throw a bonus on top of the starting reward, but the merc boss reminds him the job isn't actually finished yet. Forcing a smile, the captain argues that since they already found the target, the mission is officially a wrap. With a totally mocking tone, he asks if the warriors seriously want to waste time hunting some nobody goblins, wondering if they plan on broadcasting that the official guard got clowned by tiny monsters. Hearing this absolute disrespect, the archer loses it and threatens the officer for talking to her boss like that, while her partner tries to chill her out. With zero respect, the newbie waves his hand and tells them to stop throwing a tantrum and just leave already. The veteran just takes the disrespect in silence, gripping the bag of cash tightly. Before walking off, the old man shoots the suited-up officer a look of pure, unfiltered disgust. Without saying a single word, the leader turns around and gives a hand signal, ordering his squad to bounce from that toxic place. As the squad rides away, the captain keeps running his mouth from a distance, sarcastically congratulating the old man for a job well done. A bit later, the sun starts setting, lighting up a wooden sign on the road. Just as one of the warriors admits, she gets madder the more she thinks about it. Riding down the dirt road, the team complains about the arrogant attitude of the 13th unit members, finding it disgusting that they got treated like common merchants just for being mercs. Looking at the leader, the mage brings up the extra cash the officer threw at them to sweep the whole problem under the rug. Super triggered, the girl points her finger, calling out the captain's arrogant behavior over a handful of coins. Annoyed that the group isn't doing anything, she asks if they're seriously just gonna take that insult, reminding them the old man never let that kind of disrespect slide. Looking at his friend, the mage gives a slight smile and asks if she still hasn't figured out how their MC energy leader operates. The veteran quickly confirms the theory, saying they're heading to the local villages to do their own digging, since this whole monsters beating a squad story sounds super sus. Looking dead serious, the leader shares that the coroner found some heavy damage on the captain, including broken bones and internal injuries. He explains that regular goblins usually just go straight for the head with tools or bite vital spots, proving they never torture their victims like that. Connecting the dots, the merc guesses they're either dealing with a brand new type of creature or there's someone insanely smart secretly pulling the strings. For starters, he suggests the squad hit up a nearby inn, since places like that are gold mines for rumors and gossip. Finding the excuse hilarious, the archer calls the old man out for using the investigation as a free pass to hit the bottle, reminding him he swore he was gonna quit drinking. The rustic wooden sign marks their arrival at the small roadside village. Way far from there, the scenery shifts to the inside of a brightly lit cave, where the tactician leader shows off a tidy room he set up for the human girl to crash in for now. Amazed by the neat setup, her eyes go wide as she asks if monsters seriously live just like humans. Bursting her bubble, the warrior clarifies he tweaked the room specifically to fit her needs, making sure she had the basic comforts. Super shy and blushing hard, the human awkwardly thanks her hero for being so nice. Pointing at the basic furniture, he tells her she can sleep there and tells her to pick whatever she wants to eat from the stash his crew brought in. The girl sits on the bed carefully, taking in the cozy vibes of the makeshift room. Looking away so he doesn't stare, the monster admits he has zero clue how she's feeling in the middle of this weird situation. Right before dipping out of the room, He tries to tell her that this hideout is the safest spot right now, but notices the human has already passed out. With a slight smirk, the warrior mutters to himself that she apparently got comfortable real quick. Finally at peace, the girl is fast asleep, wrapped up in the thick blankets. In another corner of the hideout, the leader sits at a stone table looking incredibly focused. Staring hard at an open map in front of him, he decides it's time to organize all his intel and map out his next moves. With a subtle flick of his fingers, he pulls up the magic system interface right in front of his face. The glowing screen shows his current stats, confirming he's now a level 6 clan master. Checking out the upgrades, the tactician thinks it's awesome that he can pop open that window as many times as he wants, remembering that in his past life, he was capped at just 2 times a day. Curious about the panel, he decides to click through the virtual tabs to check the progress on his active quests. The blue window shows there are 20 days left until the survival tutorial ends, and he gets super interested in the reward that unlocks a secret shop using gold coins. Swiping to the next tab, he checks his XP bar for his next level. Up and starts debating whether he should spec into an assassin or a goblin blacksmith. Weighing other options like shaman or archer, he thinks about old Morxel and his partner Meave, realizing that picking those classes would mean literally copying their skill trees. Looking back at his own track record, the leader realizes he's spent his whole life fighting with swords, meaning he has absolutely zero talent for long-range combat. Slamming his weapon onto the wooden table, he decides the warrior class is the only choice that makes sense if he wants to go toe-to-toe with those scumbags later on. An image of the defeated captain flashes in his mind, followed by the face of Commander Hayu Rai, locking in who the final boss of this journey really is. With his eyes glowing a fierce red with pure hatred, the monster vows that, even though he wants to keep Solji safe, the sins of those traitors haven't been erased, and they're all gonna pay a massive price. His dark thoughts get totally interrupted by Meave, who kicks the door wide open screaming that she brought some huge news. Startled by the sudden noise, the boss asks what the heck she's talking about, while his partner seems to just glitch out on the spot. Then, the archer points toward the area outside the room and starts stuttering, completely unable to finish her sentence. The girl's eyes go completely blank, looking deeply traumatized by something she just witnessed, not getting why his sidekick's mood just flipped. The warrior asks what happened, noticing her eyes are starting to well up with tears. Crying, the little monster yells at the top of her lungs, calling the leader a liar, leaving him totally lost as to what's going on. Having a full-on meltdown, she turns to run away screaming that she hates her own partner, while the tactician tries to grab her, demanding to know what the urgent news was. Trying to calm her down, he grabs her arm tight and tells her to hold up a second and explain what this whole mess is about. Boiling with jealousy and anger, the archer points to the other room and demands he explain why his so-called war prize is sleeping in his bed. Pressing the boss, the girl screams in his face asking if they already hooked up, leaving the little tactician completely stunned by the drama. Eaten up by jealousy, Meave throws a massive tantrum, crying out loud and pouting, complaining that he was her man and they should have been together first. Trying to put the brakes on her jealousy trip, Gorols pulls the archer into a tight hug. Totally caught off guard, the girl freezes up with tears streaming down her face. Keeping his cool, the leader clears up that he absolutely did not pull any nonsense like that with the war prize. Still a bit sniffly, Meave softly asks if he's actually being for real. Flashing a super confident smile, the tactician reminds her that he is her man. Hearing that, the warrior girl blushes intensely, her mind clearly wandering to some very bold ideas. Shattering his partner's daydream, the boss tells her to focus up and just spill whatever the big news was. With that, the girl finally snaps back to reality and remembers what she was doing. Panicking, she screams that a squad called the Ember Hunters is tracking him down. Not quite putting it together, Gorols asks who exactly she's talking about. Super anxious, the archer tries to explain that these guys are incredibly dangerous. Struggling to process the intel, the warrior repeats the squad's name, looking a bit confused. He spaces out for a second, digging through his memories for that name. Suddenly, a memory hits him, and he goes into a state of absolute shock. Grabbing his partner's shoulders, the leader demands to know if she seriously just said Ember Hunters. Intimidated by his sudden freak out, the girl confirms that's exactly what she's been saying this whole time. Wasting no time, the warrior lets go of his partner's shoulders. He sprints down the cave hallway, absolutely furious that this exact squad had to show up. His thoughts drag him back to a dark cave where a group of people were running for the exit in pure terror. Mid-escape, a young guy was panting heavily, totally running on empty. Suddenly, a shadowy monster jumps out right in front of them, giving them zero time to react. The monster hits one of the guys with a ruthless strike. The man's body hits the stone floor, completely knocked out. Freaking out, the young guy shakes his friend, trying to wake him up while the armed threat moves in. Spotting the danger closing in, the kid turns his head in absolute panic. Right at that exact second, a bright magical blast hits the creature dead on, sending it flying. Saved at the last millisecond, the young guy looks up in shock. An epic-looking squad walks out of the light, with the leader introducing themselves as the Ember Hunters mercenaries. Looking totally chill, the squad's veteran asks the survivor for his name. Still on the floor, the kid thanks him for the save, his voice shaking like crazy. Calming down a bit, he finally reveals his name is Kim Tae-sung. Snapping back to the present, the archer runs after the leader asking if everything's okay. Ranting in anger, Gorals admits he knew his actions would put a target on his back, but he never expected to drag this specific group into the mess. Stopping abruptly, he asks for the exact last location this squad was spotted. Way far from there, the famous mercenary squad is chilling outside a forest hideout. An enemy flag flaps in the wind, marking the turf of a gang that makes a living hunting down summoned folks. Taking charge, the veteran makes sure everyone is crystal clear on the mission. Locked in, the squad members listen to the order to wipe out the enemies and free the kidnapped civilians. Plus, the old man mentions they need to track down this goblin before giving the green light for the raid. Inside the spot, the kidnapped civilians huddle together as a thug patrols the area. The hostages shake in terror as the menacing guy gets closer. The bandit starts screaming at some of his goons near the campfire. Interrupting the chaos, the veteran walks into the cave politely asking them to play nice and let the captives go. The thugs stare at the intruders completely dumbfounded, furious at the sheer disrespect. Without hesitating, one of the bandits raises his axe and orders them to take the intruders out. The whole gang rushes in raging, screaming insults at the mercenaries. Sighing out of pure exhaustion, the old man notes that they really don't want to handle things the easy way. The criminals charge, yelling that the intruders picked the wrong house to mess with. Moving with insane speed, the veteran lands a perfect hit on the first enemy. The impact makes the bald thug scream in agony instantly. Keeping the combo going, the merc leader pushes forward, slicing through the enemies with ridiculous ease. His blade just keeps tearing through the bandits in a non-stop, ruthless barrage. Trying to clap back, one of the thugs orders the archers to focus all their fire on the old man. But before they can even shoot, the gang's snipers get tagged by flaming arrows. Lowering her weapon, the girl in the squad laughs at how dumb the enemies were for thinking they actually had a shot. In full-blown panic mode, one of the survivors screams for their squad's mage. Capitalizing on the chaos, the veteran drops another gun with absolute precision. The hit is so powerful it brutally eliminates the threat right on the spot. Standing still among the wrecked enemies, the leader sighs and jokes that his age is finally catching up with him. Out of nowhere, a blast of freezing magic is launched right at him. Spotting the threat, the archer tells the boss to step back and fires an arrow wrapped in fire. The blazing projectile intercepts the ice spell mid-air. The clash of magic creates a massive steam explosion across the battlefield. Stepping out of the shadows, the gang's mage glares at the intruders, demanding to know who they are. The merc leader just stares down the new challenger, looking dead serious. Known as an ice mage, the bandit starts summoning a brutal blizzard all around himself. Flexing a super arrogant face, he shows off his magic power to try and intimidate the squad. Full of ego, the thug asks if they lost their minds invading someone else's turf like that. Calmly adjusting his glasses, the merc mage replies that the criminal is the one who lost his grip on reality. The young guy's eyes show unshakable confidence in his own skills. Stepping forward, he says he pities someone with such a rare awakening for stooping so low to work for basic thugs. Feeling completely roasted by the lecture, the ice mage loses it and tells the kid he's literally begging to be sent to the lobby. The bandit's face twists into a totally unhinged, sadistic smile. Unleashing all his magic at once, he tells the enemy squad to take a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Screaming the spell's name, the mage forms a massive spear made entirely of ice and launches it at the intruders with everything he's got. Keeping his cool, the rookie mage smirks confidently at the incoming attack. The ice bandit starts panicking, completely lost as to why his spell just randomly fizzled out. Holding an ice spike in his hand, the kid mockingly asks if this was the attack the enemy was trying to use. Utterly mind-blown, the thug screams, demanding to know how this intruder managed to steal his spell. Pointing his finger, the young guy proudly introduces himself as a spell thief and fires the attack back. The counterattack hits the enemy mage head-on, taking the criminal out with his own magic. The brutal impact sends the bandit flying backward, and he hits the floor completely defeated. Stylishly adjusting his glasses, the young mage looks super satisfied with how that played out. Turning to the leader, he mentions that this move totally wraps up the beef with the gang. The squad's archer takes a deep breath, cussing her teammate out for acting too fast. Lecturing him, she reminds him he was supposed to keep the mage breathing to extract some important intel. Breaking up the fight, the veteran tells them to drop the argument and focus on keeping the prisoners safe. Without talking back, the two young mercs immediately nod and follow the boss across the area. The old warrior warns them he heard something says nearby, ordering the squad to move up carefully. Watching everything unfold from a distance, Girls figures these mercenaries are still genuinely good people. Suddenly, a system notification sound grabs the goblin leader's attention, catching him completely off guard. A magic screen pops up warning that dangerous enemies just spawned super close, triggering a hunting quest. The display shows the identities and high levels of the veteran, the archer, and the mage of the group. The system's prompt is blunt and straightforward, ordering him to eliminate these targets right away. Reading the message, Gorls drops a curse word, pissed off at this totally uncalled for order. The little warrior grits his teeth, clearly annoyed with the situation being forced on him. Focused, he makes an unbreakable decision about what he's gonna do regarding these mercenaries. Pointing his finger at the blue screen, he declines the quest without a second thought. A new alert pops up warning that dropping the hunt will trigger severe penalties and tank the clan's reputation. Sighing in exhaustion, he repeats that he already knows the consequences and tells it to cancel the quest anyway. The system spams multiple penalty warnings, making the leader totally lose his patience and tell the voice to shut up. Thinking back, he remembers that this squad was the only one that saved him without asking for a single thing in return. Fully resolved, the tactician swears he'll avoid fighting the Ember Hunters at all costs. The scene changes to a simple wooden sign pointing the way to the peaceful Pendleton village. Running by the village entrance, a kid excitedly yells that the mercenaries finally showed up. Walking alongside the rescued prisoners, the squad strolls casually down the village's dirt road. The locals celebrate the squad's arrival, clapping for the warriors for fixing the problem. Families reunite in a super emotional moment, running up to hug their kidnapped relatives. Watching the tears of relief, the squad smiles, feeling pretty great about pulling off a flawless rescue. The village elder bows, showing his genuine gratitude, while the veteran acts totally humble about the win. The old man vents that the local guards do literally nothing except hit the locals with insane taxes. Handing over a bag of cash, he apologizes for not being able to offer a bigger payout. With the cash in hand, the merc leader promises the amount is more than enough for the job. Taking advantage of the moment, the old warrior asks if there are any rumors floating around about a goblin in the area. Confused by the question, the village chief repeats the word, while the old man asks for literally any clue he might have. Back at the clan's dark hideout, Hyen is still sitting there, looking around the place absolutely terrified. The girl fidgets with her hands nervously, trying to hype herself up to go explore the unknown area. Standing up slowly, the human starts sneaking through the stone hallways, acting super stealthy. Gripping her sword, she peeks around a wall to check if there are any monsters nearby. Out of nowhere, a tiny goblin kid bumps into her and lets out a startled scream, scaring the human half to death. Because of the jump scare, some purple roots scatter across the dark tunnel's stone floor. The human calms down, crouches gracefully, and picks up the dropped veggies, getting her chill back. The monster kid just stands there, looking at the girl with a super innocent, hungry expression. Feeling bad for the little creature, Hyen offers the food and asks if she wants a bite. Super happy about the offer, the tiny goblin waddles toward the human with small steps. The kid reaches out her little green arms to grab the snack right from the system prisoner's hand. But instead of grabbing the root, the little girl wraps her arms tight around the human's waist, sending her into full panic mode. The little girl rubs her face against her clothes, showing major affection in the absolute cutest way. Shaking with anxiety, Haeun pets the kid's head, hyping up how cute she is. After the initial scare, the human lets out a heavy sigh, feeling the weight of this wildly bizarre situation. The system's screen glows, warning her she needs to end a goblin to unlock her unique skill. Glancing at her own sword leaning against the wall, the young girl thinks about how ruthless the survival quest rules really are. Ignoring the prompt, she pushes the blade away and just hugs the little girl back, turning down the cruel mission. Night falls over the quiet woods, revealing the merc's modest camp lit up by a fire. Near the fire, a few skewers of meat are slowly roasting, making the whole place smell amazing. Chilling by the campfire, the archer announces the food is ready, but the boss tells the younger ones to eat first. Catching the heavy mood, the girl asks what the old leader is thinking about so intensely. Resting his chin on his hand, the veteran admits there's something incredibly sus about this goblin they're hunting. The warrior points out that almost all the recent attacks were strictly aimed at summoned people carrying weapons. He figures the creature is smart enough to pick targets the locals already hate, dodging bigger problems. Surprised, the rookie mage asks if monsters have seriously gotten that smart, and his friend agrees with the theory. Keeping a serious face, the leader says it doesn't stop there, backing it up with the gossip from the village chief. The old man mentions the rumors claim this specific monster can speak the human language flawlessly. Thinking that's totally insane, the archer calls Cap, and the mage jokes, asking if they even know how to say anything else. Right at that moment, the sound of branches snapping in the dark grabs the whole squad's attention. Speaking from the shadows, Gorls calmly greets the Ember Hunters, leaving the humans completely stunned. The little tribe leader casually walks out of the thick brush and into the light. Wasting no time, the mercenaries draw their weapons and get into a combat stance against the intruder. Ignoring the armed threat, the tactician lazily mentions they've already done plenty of research on him. Staring the squad down, the warrior says he's gonna skip the intros and get straight to the point. Skipping the pleasantries, the archer snaps a quick arrow right at the intruder. Keeping his chill, Gorls raises a hand and catches the projectile mid-air with ridiculous ease. The merc squad is absolutely mind-blown by the creature's insane reflexes. Snapping the arrowhead off, the little tactician says he gets the message, but tells the girl not to try that again. To make sure he's covered, he reveals he left his crew on standby around Pendleton Village before pulling up here. Turning up the heat on the threat, the goblin explains that if he doesn't make it back by a certain time, the squad can pretty much guess what's going to happen to the locals. Spotting the dirty play, the rookie mage realizes the creature is using the village as a human shield to dodge a straight-up fight. Confirming the theory, Gorls proves he's completely controlling the board without breaking a sweat. Taking a step forward, the veteran leader asks if the intruder just came here to chat. Satisfied they're on the same page, the warrior sits on the ground peacefully and asks for a minute of their time. Without dropping his guard, the old merc demands to know what the creature wants to talk about. Playing it straight, the tactician admits he knows they're hunting him and orders the squad to bounce from the area immediately. Turning down the offer, the veteran explains they have a job to eliminate the creature attacking humans, but tries to find some middle ground. Cutting the negotiation short, the goblin states there are specific humans he absolutely has to wipe out, and he won't stop until the job is done. Analyzing the intruder's vibe, the Ember Hunter's leader regrets the creature has zero negotiation skills, realizing they won't reach a peaceful agreement. Standing his ground, Gorls gets up and warns them he didn't come here to make deals, but to stop them from throwing their lives away for nothing. Using a threatening tone, he gives the squad exactly 1 week to vanish from the area. The little warrior makes it clear this is the absolute last bit of kindness and respect he's gonna show them before he starts taking action. Far away in the hideout, the human Haeun stares at something looking super conflicted and exhausted. On the stone floor, the little goblin just keeps munching on her food, totally spaced out and innocent. Watching the whole thing in silence, the girl seems to be having a massive mental battle with her own conscience. Unable to handle the system's mental pressure, she grips the handle of her dagger super tight. The human raises the weapon right behind the helpless kid, while the holographic screen demands she end a monster to unlock her skill. The scene snaps back to the lit-up merc camp in the middle of the dark forest. The mage and the archer are still on high alert, scanning the area after the intruder's final warning. Hiding in the bushes nearby, a gang of human assassins stalks their targets from a distance, confirming it's the Merc squad. Plotting a filthy trap, one of the thugs suggests taking out the guys first, so they can have some fun with the girl later. The boss of the shady Mercs slowly draws his weapon and gives the signal to launch the sneak attack. Suddenly, one of the goons cuts off the order, panicking that something just materialized right in the middle of the path. The assassins are completely thrown off when they see the little goblin walking peacefully toward the enemy camp. Watching the end of the conversation from afar, the assassins hear the goblin repeat that he only came here to prevent unnecessary casualties. Backing up his warning, the tactician reminds them again that the humans have exactly 1 week to pack up and leave. Adding terms to the deal, he tells the squad to raise a white flag on the 5th day if they agree to the truce, giving them a dark look. The creature swears that if they cross paths again, things will end in the worst way possible. Practically begging, he asks the old man not to let this turn into a massive disaster for everyone involved. The Ember Hunters just take the message in silence, fully grasping how serious that warning really was. Satisfied that his message landed, the little leader turns around and peacefully disappears in the dark woods. Watching the creature leave, the assassins are left totally stunned, trying to process what on earth they just witnessed. Completely lost, the thugs wonder how the squad just struck a deal with a goblin that speaks perfect English. Falling back immediately, the ambush commander decides to return to the guard base, convinced he just found a way better method to handle this. The screen cuts to a sunny day, showing an old wooden sign marking a different, peaceful location. Back in the dark cave, the goblin girl just keeps eating her plant, completely clueless about how close she just came to the end. The human hyena looks at the kid with her head down and her body going limp, completely giving up on the fatal strike. Unable to hurt the defenseless kid, the human drops her dagger on the floor, catching the girl's attention, who turns around looking super confused. Right at that moment, Gorls is walking through the stone tunnels, getting bows and being called captain by his crew. Strolling casually through the rustic base, the tactician hears some weird noises coming straight from the room. He stops dead in his tracks at the doorway, thinking the sudden activity inside is pretty sus. Giving the scene a questioning look, the boss wonders what the heck the human is up to at this hour. Sitting on the dirt floor, Hyen is carefully using her knife to peel the food and awkwardly says hi to her savior. The goblin goes quiet while the girl explains to the kid that eating the skin is gross and promises to give her a clean snack. Watching this surreal moment, the leader mentally wonders how fast this human can actually adapt to act so chill so quickly. Letting out a long sigh, he suggests the girl shouldn't get too attached to anyone if she isn't planning on staying here forever, warning that'll only make her daily life harder. A bit embarrassed by the random scolding, the girl tries to explain herself, claiming she was just peeling some fruit for the kid. Staying completely silent, the warrior just watches Hyen feed the little girl, telling her to chew slowly. The scenery aggressively shifts to the massive stone building of the 13th Guard Unit base, in broad daylight. In the tax collection department, 2 officers are casually chatting in a huge room packed with stacks of paperwork. A quill moves fast, writing down massive, fake numbers on an official document. A clerk slides the filled-out budget request over for the new guard captain, Kim Hanjeil, to review. Looking super hyped, the commander approves cooking the books so they can swipe a solid chunk of public funds. Feeling nervous about the forged papers, the assistant asks if they shouldn't just pay the Ember Hunters properly, just in case upper management decides to do a deep dive. Keeping his chill vibe, Captain Kim Hanjeil reveals he secretly sent a hit squad to hunt down the mercs, telling his partner not to sweat it. Totally convinced the sneak attack will work, he flexes his ego, pointing out the squad would only be a problem if they were still breathing. Out of nowhere, the wooden door to the room gets slammed open. A soldier rushes in, reporting that the assassins they sent out literally just got back to HQ, leaving the assistant who heard it completely shocked. Fixing his hair like an arrogant jerk, the officer asks if they brought back proof of the hit, making it clear he won't pay out without confirming the job is done. Shaking from head to toe, the informant warns him the mission was a total bust, but says the gang has some crucial intel for the boss. Having zero patience for his team failing, the captain frowns, demanding to hear what excuse they cooked up this time for taking an L. Time flies straight to the late afternoon 4 days later. with a stick in the dirt keeping track of the passing days. Chilling in the quiet camp, Gorls thinks about how a lot of time has passed with zero signs of the mercs hunting the tribe. The boss figures that if the group actually accepted the truce, the white flag should be at the drop spot. Deciding to head out and check it himself. Walking through the stone tunnel, he notices the little goblin kid casually calling the human sister, clinging to her like glue. The warrior warns Heian he's stepping out for a bit, and orders the girl to stop teaching the kid human language right now. Just then, the archer Meave comes running down the dark hall looking panicked and totally out of breath. Panting and rushing, she waves her arms like crazy while screaming her partner's name at the top of her lungs. Trying to catch her breath after the sprint, the warrior girl focuses on her partner and asks where he's planning to go at this time of night. The night stays quiet in the forest, lit only by a crescent moon shining in the creepy sky. Gorls moves stealthily through the trees, hoping to spot a white flag soon. The little tactician thinks about how this symbol is the absolute only way to dodge ahead on clash with the mercs. A bit further ahead, he finally spots the cloth tied to a spear stuck in the ground. But a sus noise grabs the warrior's attention, making him narrow his eyes with suspicion. Stepping out of the shadows under the drizzle, a group of armed humans blocks the creature's path. Hyped about the reveal, the guys celebrate finding the exact monster they were hunting. Glaring at the intruders, Gorls demands to know who these arrogant humans are. Keeping it straight, the guys admit they're from the 13th Guard unit, and are getting paid 5 silver coins to bag him. Drawing his sword, one of the goons warns they're only gonna cripple the monster's arms and legs to make dragging him back easier. Then, the human squad rushes in hard, calling the tactician trash. The clan boss pulls out his dagger with a dead, serious look to handle the situation. Relying on their numbers, one of the soldiers lunges with a spear, trying to run the creature through. With insane speed, Gorls dodges the strike, sliding right under the enemy's weapon. Giving him zero time to defend, the warrior counter-attacks fast and ruthlessly. The blade slices the air in a flawless arc, hitting the opponent with full force. Gliding smoothly past the enemy, the little monster flexes combat skills way above average. The guy's body collapses to the ground, totally neutralized by the heavy hit. Right after, another soldier attacks, swinging a massive hammer to crush his target. Super full of himself, the human laughs, agreeing this goblin actually knows how to throw down. Swinging his weapon hard, the gun orders the monster to hit the dirt and surrender already. Sliding through the brush, Gorls dodges the heavy swing like it's nothing. Spotting a perfect opening, the warrior lands a quick strike, ending the threat instantly. Screaming in pain, the guy drops to his knees, clutching the nasty injury. The masked squad leader panics as he realizes the creature just randomly spawned right in his face. Without a second thought, the tactician hits the squad leader with a precise, game-ending strike. The guy stumbles back coughing nonstop, completely dazed by the sudden blitz. Unable to keep fighting, the masked man collapses on the ground, beaten and breathless. Gorls just stares at his downed victim, showing absolute control over the battlefield. Terrified by the absolute slaughter, the remaining guards back up, realizing this isn't just some basic mob. Paralyzed by his power, the survivors turn and book it into the shadows. Exhausted, the goblin boss cleans his blade, thinking this whole situation is beyond annoying. He walks up to the white flag, bummed out that despite the deal, there was a trap waiting for him. Right then, a super fast attack cuts through the air and sticks in the ground right by his feet. Startled by the sound, the warrior tries to jump back quickly to defend himself. But a flaming arrow nails him right in the leg before he can get away. Overcome by the pain, Gorls yanks the weapon out of his own body in a brutal move. Right after, another perfect shot hits the tactician's shoulder, dropping him into the dirt. Down on the ground, he grips the new wound, feeling the sheer force of the cheap shot. In the foggy night, the silhouette of a human archer shows up with her weapon drawn. The creature's eyes go wide, completely stunned when he realizes who's leading this attack. With her bow aimed, the merc Hongium states they should have just wrapped things up like this from the start. Totally lost, the goblin tries to figure out how the Ember Hunters decided to pull this after making a deal. The girl answers his thoughts, claiming that if they had just attacked earlier, there wouldn't be any extra drama. Showing zero mercy, the human fires another quick arrow at the downed little warrior. The sound of heavy footsteps echoes, just as someone swings a weapon to block the attack's path. The clan boss stares at the scene, totally dumbfounded by the random assist. Spinning her spear like a pro, Meave blocks the enemy projectile, keeping her partner safe. The human shooter steps back, startled by this new creature's aggressive entrance. Striking an epic pose, the squad's warrior girl glares at her enemy while Gorls calls her name. Locked in, Meave announces loud and clear she's here to protect her partner no matter what. Boiling with rage, the girl screams she won't let anyone lay a finger on her man. A heavy vibe takes over the dark woods as the fight turns up under the moonlight. Nearby, the Merc Squad's rookie mage tries to back away, terrified by the monster's power. The young Tae Sung starts sweating cold bullets, totally shocked by how insanely hard this extermination quest actually is. Getting into an aggressive stance, Meave yells in Goblin slang, making it crystal clear she's not backing down. Hongyam scans the field with eyes full of hate, noticing the little monster girl's defense is flawless. The story rewinds 2 days, showing the wooden walls of a human building. Inside a jail cell, rough, calloused hands are shown locked up in heavy iron chains. In a super bright room, the squad's archer and mage wait around looking incredibly stressed. The newly promoted guard commander walks into the room laughing, greeting the young Ember Hunters with massive sarcasm. Kim Hangeol mocks the situation, asking if he should start treating them like literal traitors to the country. Slamming her fist on the table, Hongyam stands up furious and warns the captain he's pointing the finger at the wrong people. Full of confidence, the girl swears their squad never made any kind of deal with the monsters. Keeping his smug smirk, the officer claps back, saying their old boss told a very different story. He explains that the veteran took all the heat, swearing the kids had absolutely nothing to do with the pact. The girl clenches her fists, shaking with anger, fully realizing the old man offered himself up as a sacrifice to let them walk. Spinning a set of keys in his hand, Hangeol mentions he came to the room specifically to let the Merc duo go. The sound of metal rings out as the handcuffs are finally unlocked and tossed on the floor. Feeling a bit better but still sus, Tae Sung asks what's going to happen to their leader now. The commander holds up an official document, stating this is the paperwork getting sent straight to the kingdom's higher ups. Breaking down the text, he says the file blames the veteran for backing up the monster that took out the facility's old boss. Driven by pure rage, Hongyam punches the wooden table with everything she's got, refusing to accept this total joke of a setup. Crying, she screams that this is exactly why they're denying they had anything to do with it, while her partner tries to chill her out. Still acting arrogant, the officer tells the girl to calm down and listen to his offer until the end. The commander grips the paper tight and warns them the document throwing the veteran under the bus hasn't been sent up the chain yet. He keeps going with his logic, noticing the two kids are still sticking to the story that they are totally innocent. Dripping with sarcasm, the captain asks what they think they need to do to get the old man off the hook. The mage and the archer look surprised, while the officer straight up tells them they need solid proof. Holding the paper, he demands undeniable evidence that the squad didn't make some shady backroom deal with the monster. Using an intimidating tone, Kim Hangeol hints that handing over the goblin's head would be enough to clear their names. Taking the offer seriously, Hongyam asks if taking the creature out will actually guarantee their partner walks free. Happy with her answer, the captain nods and warns them they won't get much time to finish the job. The scene cuts back to the dark forest, where the human archer aims her bow, asking if the goblin girl is the target's partner. Fueled by hate, the Merc fires a flaming arrow, swearing she'll eliminate the little monster girl first. Totally stunned by the fast attack, Mev's eyes go wide as she spots the incoming danger. Using all her agility, the clan warrior jumps between the tree trunks, dodging an absolute storm of fiery attacks. As soon as she lands on a branch, the goblin sniper readies her own bow to return the favor. Hiding behind a tree, Hongyam mutters in frustration, noticing the enemy's attack speed is way faster than hers. Realizing they're getting outplayed, Tae Sung warns his partner to play it super safe, reminding her the enemy still has 2 more goons around here somewhere. Flexing total confidence, Mev tells her partner not to sweat it, since she already shot out an alert to the tribe before the fight even started. Proving her point, the mage hears the loud blast of a war horn echoing through the thick woods. Through the trees, one of the goblins raises his weapon and screams the Blood Dagger tribe's name with absolute hype. A massive army of tiny monster warriors charges furiously out of the darkness, swearing to protect their leader Gorls. The green-skinned horde rushes down the hill, totally ready to wipe out any humans standing in their way. Seeing that crazy number of enemies, Hongyam loses her chill and asks if they seriously want to fight to the bitter end right here, right now. Before she can even make a move, an offensive spell is launched at them, blowing up mid-air. Acting fast, Taesung spawns black magic orbs to block the incoming enemy projectiles. The human archer goes into absolute shock when she realizes how intense and huge this ambush really is. Slicing through the air, the gang's two elite subordinates attack with terrifying speed across the wet dirt. The two warriors close and gripping their daggers, ready to completely obliterate the human group. Grabbing his friend's arm, the mage tells her they need to dip right now, while she tries to pull away to keep fighting. Losing his mind, the guy screams that if they get taken out here, no one else is going to be around to save the old man locked up. That harsh reality hits the girl like a brick, making her drop her ego and agree to fall back so they can cook up a better game plan. Without looking back, the merc duo runs for their lives through the dark, escaping the monsters' turf. Hyping up the enemies running away, the goblin troops raise their weapons, calling it a total victory for the tribe. Literally covered in blood, Gorls leans on his partner as she begs him to stay awake until they reach a safe spot. The scene shifts to an ancient stone tower lit by the moonlight, serving as the tribe's new hideout deep in the woods. Inside, the leader is in serious pain as he tries to yank the arrowheads out of his wrecked body. Super anxious, Mev asks if he's okay, but the little tactician admits the pain is so insane he feels like he's gonna pass out. Dripping in cold sweat, he complains, super bummed that he didn't get some crazy pain tolerance buff after turning into a monster. Pacing around the room holding something, the girl begs her partner to hang in there just a little longer. With his vision getting blurry, the warrior thinks about the Ember Hunters. Mind blown that the group resorted to getting that extreme, he looks down with a heavy heart, genuinely having hoped that squad would make it out of this whole mess alive. Snapping him out of it, the little monster hands him a glass bottle, explaining it's a special potion brewed by the old shaman. Eyeing the yellow liquid suspiciously, the tactician thinks the potion just looks like basic whiskey. Determined to numb the pain, he chugs the bottle straight up, deciding any stuff that takes the edge off is a win. In an uncontrollable reflex, the leader spits the drink out, realizing it tastes like absolute garbage going down. Coughing, he demands to know what the heck that was, and his partner clarifies she just poured her grandpa's medicine into a spare bottle. Furious, the warrior crushes the glass with his bare hand, declaring he's gonna heal up quick and completely wipe out everyone who disrespected his honor. Holding her injured partner's hands, the girl cries, begging him to power through the pain of the wound. The tactician's mind drifts to a memory where the human leader was chatting with young Tae, sung outside a cave. Acting super humble, the veteran told the kid not to stress about rewards, since he didn't have anything valuable to hand out anyway. Touched, the young guy said a massive thank you for the save, swearing he'd never forget the huge favor the squad did for him. Laughing it off, the old warrior just said people gotta have each other's backs in rough spots like that. Snapping back to the present, the clan leader takes a deep breath, feeling the potion's healing buff kicking in fast. Laying on top of him in bed, Mev asks, super hyped, if her partner is finally awake. Checking out his own bandages, the tactician sits up in bed, totally amazed by how clutch the shaman's healing potion was. Using the chance, the girl pulls her partner close, giving off major vibes that she missed him and has other plans. Giving him a sweet look, she promises she'll take care of all his scars in her own special way. Not totally picking up what she's putting down, the little warrior just asks what she's trying to do. The goblin gets even closer, almost touching her face to is in a vibe full of romance and tension. But the tactician suddenly takes charge, leaving his partner bright red and stuttering out of shyness from his random flex, pulling his partner into a deep kiss. Gorls tells her to get closer, proving he's the one running the show. Things heat up in the dimly lit room as her shirt is slowly taken off, letting all that pent-up passion out. Completely lost in the moment, the archer breathes heavily, her cheeks totally flushed from the hype. Gorls moves down, kissing his partner's neck while she just keeps sighing his name. Their clothes get tossed onto the stone floor, making it obvious there's zero hesitation left between them. Chilling on the rustic bed, Mev looks at her boss with a face full of desire and anticipation. Acting super caring, the warrior warns her he's gonna take things really slow, since it's the girl's first time. The girl nods in silence, feeling her heart racing as her partner gets closer. The connection between them is finally sealed, permanently bonding the leader and his most loyal partner. Totally overwhelmed by her feelings, the little monster lets out a sigh, just letting the vibe take over. Above her, the tactician keeps the pace with a focused look, completely living in the moment. Reaching her arms out, the girl sweetly asks her partner for a super tight hug. Hooking her up, he pulls his partner into a warm embrace, locking in the couple's bond right there in the hideout. Radiating emotion, the boss says the girl's name, confirming that the bond between them is officially unbreakable now. The long night finally wraps up, making way for a beautiful, sunny dawn over the hills of the massive forest. Far away, a panning guy stops in the brush, complaining and totally lost on which way to go. Suddenly, a brutal spear pierces the soldier's chest, while an angry voice in the dark rants that the squad only got lost because their scout got taken out. Leaning on a tree, the human guard complains about the garbage intel Captain Kim Hangil gave them, realizing this was definitely not just a basic goblin hunt. In a moment of absolute panic, he tries to pull off a sneak attack, jumping with his sword ready. But the attack completely flops, and he ends up face planting hard into the dirt with a groan of pain. The fall busts the guy's head, leaving him totally dazed on the rough grass. A duo of clan warriors walks up to the victim, remembering the boss's orders about a human who bailed from the first fight. Shaking in terror, the soldier sees the axe blade right next to his neck as the creatures decide to capture him. Taking point, one of the little monsters says they're dragging the captive straight to their leader. A bit later, the guard is seen tied up on his knees outside the stone building, getting bullied by the enemies. Cutting through the noise, tactician Gorals walks up and locks his focus on the injured guy. Meave just chills and watches the scene, while her partner runs the interrogation looking super menacing. Playing no games, the little boss warns the soldier he only let him live because he's still useful, threatening to send him to the lobby if he won't cooperate. Giving the prisoner a light kick, the goblin asks with a sadistic tone if the warning was clear enough to skip the questions. He keeps his logic going, pointing out that experienced mercs wouldn't have bolted without a destination in mind. The guard gulps as he hears the perfectly accurate guess that there must be a secret meetup spot nearby. Staring dead at the guy, Girls demands to be told the exact address of this hideout right now. Totally surrounded by monsters, the minion hesitates to snitch on his own squad mates. But the fear of meeting his maker wins out, and he starts leaking the classified location. Absolutely broken by the mental pressure, the soldier gives up the spot, exposing his own team's plans. The scene cuts to a massive rustic house isolated in the middle of a storm. The heavy gates of the hideout slowly creak open on their old hinges. Inside, the tactician hypes up his assassin's flawless work, walking among the soldiers already dropped on the floor. Tripping with sarcasm, the leader congratulates the human hostage for proving his usefulness so well. The guy goes into full-blown panic mode seeing the pile of his dead buddies, while the creature thanks him for helping track down the entire squad at once. Finding the panic hilarious, Gorals promises the guy's job isn't quite done yet. Pointing at the last human standing, he orders the minion to head back to the guard base and give a play of the massacre he just saw. Dumbfounded by the monster's audacity, the human's eyes go wide, struggling to believe the order he just got. The soldier's mind flashes back to the horror of the attack, remembering the screams of panic when the hideout got raided by the enemies. During the chaos, the human guard was totally cornered by the enemy horde from every direction. The outcome was a total disaster for the squad, giving the troops zero chance to fight back. Snapping the messenger back to reality, the goblin leader warns there's one more crucial notification to deliver to the base. With a light toss, the tactician throws a bloody necklace right into the shaking hands of the terrified human. Popping up like a shadow behind the soldier, he uses a dark voice to explain that a very specific target needs to get this bloody message. The reflection of the bloody weapon stands out as the creature vividly describes exactly who was at that fight. The memory of the battle pops up again, showing the merc squad trying to escape the brutal raid. The boss whispers the message, making sure it's crystal clear what fatal ending each of the fighters met. Flashing back to the recent past, the merc girl gets hit hard and tossed onto the wooden floor. Down and out of breath, the girl faces the threat, dealing with literally the worst possible scenario. The little warrior's silhouette steps toward her with confident strides, showing zero mercy. The fight between them is wild, with the human trying to block the monster's lightning fast strikes. Not hesitating, the creature pulls out his own ultimate weapon to finish the job. Desperately trying to stay in the game on pure survival instinct, the young girl risks a wild counterattack mid-fight. A desperate scream of anger echoes through the main room at the moment of the heavy clash. The human's block breaks, and a weapon hits the floor, signaling her crushing defeat. With a precise and fatal move, the monster wraps up the problem once and for all, stating he wants to make sure HQ knows exactly what went down here. Back at the interrogation, Gorls grabs the soldier's clothes tight and menacingly asks if he can handle this easy quest. Way far away, a simple wooden sign points to the tribe's main base during a peaceful sunset. The girl, Hyen, walks through the camp with the little kid, noticing the commotion and everyone whispering around them. Zoomed out in the space, the human's eyes go wide, startled by some sudden action in the pathway. Power walking through the area. The tactician boss looks totally locked in on his own war strats. Noticing the hero's return, Hyen shyly mentions he took a pretty long time to get back from the raid. Hearing his name, the warrior stops mid-walk and turns his head to focus on her. Pulling up right after, the archer Meave flashes a huge smile of pure joy seeing her partner back in one piece. The game's prisoner feels a bit awkward, watching the monster couple with a curious look. Already inside the room, the great shaman Morxel answers the rookie boss's call and waits for the intel. Dropping to his knees to show respect, Gorls asks for official permission to launch a massive raid on the human fortress. Lifting his head with pure confidence, the tactician promises he'll tear that base down for good this time. Worried about the newcomer's physical state, the ancient entity asks if the injuries from the last fight are healed enough. Holding his determined stance, he swears the shaman's potion worked a literal miracle and won't be a problem for the massive attack. Raising his hands peacefully, the old man reminds the kid that he's the supreme leader of the Blood Dagger clan now, and doesn't need to ask for permission anymore. Looking super emotional, the warrior replies, promising that even though he runs his own tribe, he'll never forget he came from the shaman's clan. Being incredibly humble, the tactician explains the visit is purely to show maximum respect to the former leader. Stroking his rustic beard, Morxel looks really moved and says he totally gets the young guy's loyalty. Resting his hand on the solid rock, the spiritual entity makes an irreversible call on the direction of the upcoming battle. Using an authoritative voice, the old man announces he's sending an elite squad from his own tribe to back up the Blood Dagger raid. Mind blown by the generous offer, the tactician's eyes go wide when he spots the squad of mages appearing in the shadows right behind him. Speechless at getting so much clout, he bows until he touches the floor, expressing genuine gratitude for the wise master's backup. The story jumps straight to the stone cell in the human base during the red light of sunset. The veteran merc leader is escorted through the dark halls, his wrists locked tight in heavy chains by the guards. The old man's face screams pure exhaustion, but his vibe stays solid despite the tragedy. Walking into the interrogation room, the corrupt officer greets the inmate with a mocking smile, sitting back super relaxed. Looking the hostage up and down, the commander drops the old man's classic swordsman nickname with total disrespect. Ignoring the cheap insult, the old man just asks if he was called here to find out his expiration date. Oozing arrogance, the leader points his finger and suggests the inmate open the little box on the table first. Feeling a dark vibe, the merc pulls the wooden box closer and slowly pops the lid while the captain watches with a cynical grin. Seeing the horrifying item inside, the veteran fighter's eyes go wide in a mix of pure shock and horror. The small box slips out of the inmate's shaking hands, and he drops to his knees on the floor, completely shattered. The gruesome contents spill onto the table, showing a severed finger next to a dirty arrowhead. Shaking non-stop and dripping in cold sweat, the old man stares at the terrifying sight, demanding to know why that item is there. The metal cuffs on his wrists rattle loudly as sheer panic completely takes over his body. Raising his tied hands to his face, the old man tries to hold back an agonizing scream mixed with desperate crying. Watching the guy break down, the officer casually mentions that the hostage's buddies got ambushed by the talking goblin while they were chilling at the inn. Keeping the sarcastic tone, the officer asks if the old man realizes his squad got wiped by the exact same monster that took out the old base commander. With an evil smirk, the head of security offers up his squad's military backup if the legendary fighter wants his revenge. Still looking down, the veteran soldier mourns that his students chose to follow through on his wish. remembering he made a truce with the creature that never should have been broken. Glaring at the captain with deep disgust, the merc puts the pieces together and furiously asks if the commander used him as bait to force the kids to hunt the monster. Absolutely raging at the dirty trap, he screams, ordering the officer to leave the boys out of it right this second. Having zero tolerance for insubordination, the boss drops the act and yells for the guards to throw this useless boomer back in the dungeon. Instantly, a guard grabs the inmate roughly from behind, telling the old man to shut his mouth and stop causing trouble. With that, the veteran warrior grips the guard's arm tight, proving his patience is officially at zero. In a fast, aggressive move, the old man flips the guard over his shoulder, slamming the guy into the floor with a heavy thud. Capitalizing on the moment, the old man lands a brutal punch on the downed guard, ending the threat for good. The guard commander backs up scared, mind blown that the chained inmate just flipped the script so fast. In absolute shock, the officer calls the merc a lunatic and orders the other guards to rush him with everything they've got. Acting on pure instinct, the veteran snatches the blade right off the knocked-out guard's belt. The strike is fast and precise, tagging the next charging soldier and dropping him to the floor instantly. The guard's body hits the stones hard, proving the legendary warrior's skills are still absolutely flawless. Cornered and shaking with fear, the commander stutters as he tries to back away from the furious man. Gripping the blade with a death glare, the old man warns he has some questions and highly recommends the captain answer truthfully if he wants to make it out alive. The scene flips to the night forest, where a massive army of creatures marches in silence under the full moon, backed by the sound of crows. One of the creepy birds lands near the armed horde, signaling the start of the inevitable raid. Taking the lead, the head of the magic squad announces that the whole mystic team is done setting up for the attack. Gorils praises the work and orders the crew to wait for his signal, deciding to push up solo to scout the base's security. Without wasting time, the tactician uses his unreal speed to hop through the shadows toward the enemy fort. Mid-stealth, he hits the brakes hard when he notices something crazy going down right in front of him. Landing softly on the stone floor, the warrior scopes out the totally trashed area. The clan boss is completely stunned by the sight, asking himself what on earth is happening here. The massive human fort is completely swallowed by a huge fire, making the monster joke and ask if the humans decided to host a BBQ. Taking it all in, the goblin walks barefoot across the superheated stone floor, totally surrounded by flames. A familiar voice echoes through the burning area, welcoming him and saying the monster took way too long to show up. Turning his head, Gorils spots a lone silhouette standing in the middle of that inferno, surrounded by dropped guards. The old man casually drinks water from a bottle while the corrupt officer begs for mercy, tied up on his knees right next to him. Finishing his drink, the old man lowers the bottle, showing a terrifyingly calm vibe despite the disaster. Staring dead at the little warrior, the merc admits he was waiting for him, leaving the monster impressed by the sheer audacity. With a face full of sadness and anger, the old man asks if they don't have a massive score to settle right here, right now. The veteran's mind slips into a sad memory, recalling the soft sound of water splashing into a wooden mug. The liquid filled the simple cup during a moment of absolute peace at their old camp. The bottle would run dry, marking the end of that temporary chill time they shared. In the flashback, the old fighter was thanking his young students for taking care of a stubborn boomer like him. Looking at the smiling archer and mage, the leader admitted bumping into that squad was literally the luckiest moment of his entire life. With a silent goodbye vibe, the old man begged the kids not to blame him if he checked out too early, swearing he did everything he could for them. Outside the burning walls, the remaining guards scream in panic that the deserter broke out of jail, ordering everyone to mount up and catch him. Ignoring the chaos, the tribe boss and the old swordsman just keep staring each other down in the fire-wrecked courtyard. Deciding to clear the air, Gorils immediately warns that he needs to make one thing crystal clear about the disaster that happened. The little tactician points out that the mercenary squad themselves pushed things to that extreme point. Hearing the speech, the veteran narrows his eyes and just nods, finally getting where the creature is coming from. The clan boss is completely shocked by the guy's chill reaction, definitely not expecting such a soft response. Explaining the squad's moves, the warrior clarifies the kids didn't have bad intentions, they just hunted the tribe in a desperate panic to rescue their own leader. Thrown off by the news, Girls demands the man explain exactly what all this means. Being super direct, the old man reveals the base commander locked him up and used his life to force the squad into hunting the monster. Hearing the story, the tied-up officer shakes with fear, while the old man concludes that everyone there was just being played like puppets. Taken over by frustration, the tactician rants that the whole battle only happened because of a massive misunderstanding, but regrets that the damage is already totally irreversible. Looking sad, the man agrees with the monster, accepting that their tragic fate is already locked in. Unsheathing his heavy sword, the merc explains he only waited for the goblin to show up to make sure the creature knew his squad's true intentions before one of them lost their life. Drawing his own swords, Gorl says he tried to protect the old man in the past, but he won't forgive the squad for planning to wipe out his tribe. Adjusting his combat stance, the old man throws the warning right back, swearing he absolutely won't forgive the monster who spilled his kid's blood either. Before kicking off the honorable duel, the clan leader says he needs to handle one last important piece of business. With an insanely fast and ruthless move, Gorls eliminates the corrupt captain with a flawless strike, dedicating the scumbag's end as a tribute to the fallen kids. Watching the executioner get taken out, the veteran swordsman calmly asks if they can finally start the final showdown. The little tactician just holds his blocking stance surrounded by fire, ready for the hardest fight of his new life. With zero warning, the veteran rushes the monster with terrifying speed, proving exactly why he's considered a legend. The human launches a brutal top-down strike with his heavy sword, forcing the creature to cross his two weapons just to block the force. Feeling the insane weight of the blow, the goblin grits his teeth, struggling to hold off the opponent's power. The clash of their weapons sparks up a storm that blends right into the flames of the wrecked area. With a focused and ruthless look, the old merc pushes his weapon, trying to shatter the creature's guard no matter what. Stressed by the insane power of the attack, Gorls mentally admits he massively underestimated the old man's strength, realizing he should have called in the whole tribe if he knew how OP the guy really was. Putting in max effort, the tactician pushes the enemy's blade away and jumps back, trying to get some breathing room. But the fighter doesn't give him a single second to chill, attacking and tearing through the air with a deadly side slash. Moving on pure reflex, the clan commander slides back and manages to dodge the fatal weapon by literal milliseconds. Capitalizing on the moment, the old man sparks a blue aura on his sword and drops a vertical slash with max power. The magic hits so hard that the sword violently breaks through the monster's guard, forcing the goblin to retreat so he doesn't get sliced in half. Taking the crushing weight of the attack, the little tactician spits blood as he struggles just to stay on his feet. Keeping the combo going, the old man lands a perfect slash that sends the creature flying. Dropped to his knees on the stone floor, Gorls lets out a loud laugh, totally ignoring how bad the injury is. He breathes heavily, proving the fight is taking a massive toll on his body. Heavy, dragging footsteps echo through the wrecked zone, signaling the veteran swordsman is walking up. Stopping right in front of the beaten monster, the merc says he's got one last question before ending the match. Looking super sad, the man asks if the goblin gave his students a painless end. Acting completely indifferent, the warrior claims his rule is to dish out exactly the same treatment he gets from others. The veteran looks down at the ground, overwhelmed by sadness, deeply feeling the weight of this total disaster. Unable to even react anymore, Gorls listens to his opponent announce he's gonna put an end to his misery right now. Completely cornered, the tribe leader curses under his breath, realizing he completely lost control of the board. Right then, a lone crow flies across the desolated sky, letting out a screech through the smoke. The dark bird watches the duo from above, hyping up the inevitable end of this deadly clash. Watching the situation from a distance, the archer Meve points her finger and decides it's time to step in. The tribe's magic squad nods at the order and starts casting an intense spell, their hands glowing with a purple light. Back in the courtyard, the old swordsman says his goodbyes and raises his sword for the final strike. But before the weapon even touches the enemy, a hidden magic blocks the attack, saving the downed creature. Stunned by the magic shield, the old man steps back, breathing heavily. Checking out the shield, Gorls realizes his time isn't up just yet. He raises his blade wrapped in purple magic, triggering the Twilight Swordsman's secret skill. The veteran tries to catch his breath, feeling the pressure of this sudden plot twist. Analyzing the new reality, The old man admits he got reckless, thinking the W was already in the bag. Without wasting time, the little monster rushes in aggressively, daring the enemy to restart the fight. The duel kicks off again with a brutal clash of weapons, sending sparks flying everywhere. Using his absolute max speed, Gorls unleashes a savage combo of slashes trying to break the opponent's block. Mid-fight, the Goblin notices the pain from his injuries dropping fast, guessing the healer squad is putting in work. A mysterious healing aura wraps around his body, instantly patching up his deepest wounds. The game screen confirms Moonlight Blessing is active, boosting his regen and completely deleting all pain for a while. Abusing this crazy buff, the Goblin leader hits the human with stronger and stronger attacks. He flashes a confident smirk, noticing his body feels way lighter and is outputting insane power. Right after, another buff called Veil of Night kicks in, boosting the creature's aggro and speed even higher. Trading blows, the warrior notices the old man's stamina is finally starting to tank. Locked in on the win, Gorls clearly spots the gaps in the veteran fighter's defense. With a precise, fatal move, the tactician's weapon slices through clothes and hits the man hard. Unable to block the lightning-fast attack, the old man takes the hit straight up as the creature slides through the shadows. The Goblin commander randomly stops on the floor, checking the result of his fast strike. On the veteran's back, a huge wound starts bleeding out, signaling the warrior's time is almost up. Completely defeated, the man drops to his knees in the fire-surrounded courtyard, dropping his swords on the ground. The veteran gasps for air, feeling his HP drain away along with his last bit of strength. Walking slowly over the hot stones, the winner steps up to his downed enemy, standing behind the guy. Gorls repeats that he won't apologize for what he had to do. Even so, the creature decides to be 100% real in the final moments of this tragedy. He regrets that fate basically forced the Merc squad right into his crosshairs. The system drops a notification confirming the veteran opponent has been taken out. At the same time, the transparent screen announces the point goal was hit, and the progression quest is complete. Ignoring the system loot, the tactician admits the Merc squad was genuinely full of good-hearted people. Keeping a solemn vibe, he honestly confesses this as the mist starts rising around them. The defeated man hears the creature show gratitude for saving him in his past life. Covering his face, overwhelmed by emotion, Gorls sheds tears and genuinely asks for forgiveness, right as the magic light starts glowing, confirming his class evolution to a new race.